5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey YouTubers and friends, how you doing tonight? Absolutely fabulous, I hope. I'm really excited. I'm pretty nervous right now. Butterflies flying all over. We have a really cool guest tonight. And we'll be right after this, so don't go away. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm gonna cut to the chase. I want to get to our guests really quick. I see we have a bunch of our regulars: Eric, Patrick, David, Amita. We had some others. We have our friend from Scotland in the house, John, Pirate Dredger. Oh, come on in, Jesse and Dano, and let's get this taken care of so we could get to our guest.
I'm here.
Evening, Ed.
Evening, Dano. How was your week, guys?
No, mine, mine was good, I'm excited for tonight's show also, so.
Yeah, I'm more nervous than usual myself right now.
Dano looked like he was having fun this weekend, cooking that big old hog and
some chicken and a pig.
I would have liked to made it down, but I decided not to, save stuff for other really more important things we want to do. So
yeah, you didn't want to come eat my pig. You didn't want to eat my pig.
Oh, that ain't quite true.
Actually, we did. I wanted to eat some of your pig, man.
Yes,
I got a trip that I'm getting ready to go to Texas, so.
I see some new names. The Naked Aggregate Mining and Exploration. Naked Aggregate Mining, Stone Mining.
Okay.
We have John Wolf here also, and our good old friend Pirate Dredger from Scotland. And Tim and Sarah.
Tim's Adventures.
Tim
and Sarah. Jared, how you doing, buddy?
Chris. There's
Chris, yeah.
So yeah, tonight's guest is I've enjoyed talking with him. He's been fun.
Oh yeah, I had a great talk with him last night. Hey, you all know who it is.
Right.
It's Prospector John from Discovery Channel's Devil's Canyon. Come on, join us, John.
Can you hear me?
Well, we can hear you.
You hear me? Hey,
can you hear
hello,
me now?
everybody.
Evening, John.
Thanks for being here, and welcome home, brother.
Oh, hey, thank you, bud.
Welcome home.
Vietnam veteran,
same.
like I am. So,
Yeah.
So I always welcome him home.
Yeah, it's good
Every
to be
time
back.
I see him. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's especially good to be back and enjoying yourself and gotten through all that crud. But anyhow, it's a real pleasure. I had a great time too last night, Ed and Jesse. It was I think we talked about 16 hours.
Well, whatever it was,
it felt like an hour.
That's okay.
I know I had to finally go and do a pee stop, or we would have been in trouble. I got a bucket down here, but I found out it has a leak in it.
Oh no! Yeah, it was fun. It was definitely fun.
It feels like a real honor to be here. It sounds like you got a whole bunch of people that come and visit with you all the time, every Tuesday, Ed, and and maybe I'll get to meet some of these folks and see who they are. You said you're nervous. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm looking at a screen here that has a big J and it has a gold pen and a quarter and then this guy Ed. and I feel like I'm just talking to the thin air. But anyhow, it's really an honor to be here. No,
the honor's ours. We're just local guys here in Ohio, and we like to prospect. Actually, Ed's from out west. Dano and I from this area, and we like to hunt for gold. And of course, and then we watch. Myself, I saw you on Devil's Canyon, and the thing that impressed me right off the bat is you were 69 years old. I'm 67, and I'm going, wow. Wow.
It was a funny thing. We were over in Quinnell and learning how to, because we did our own camp filming out there, and it was and I knew I was going to have to be out for 42 days, even though they didn't show me being out there that long. I was out there longer than Goose, and only 2 days shorter than Ben. But when we were in motel there in Quinnell for a week, because we had to learn how to use all these cameras, because I had 4 cameras with me plus a trail cam, 2 big ones, 2 GoPros. So we had lessons on how to use all that. And the morning that I was fixing to go in and they were going to take me out, it was it's about an hour drive out of Quinnell. It was early in the morning, pitch black, and I had my pack and I brought it down into the lobby, and the producer saw it sitting on a chair there and says, "Oh, this isn't going to work. Nobody's going to believe that you can carry that." And I said, "Well, if I pick it up and carry it, will they believe it?" So I picked it up and walked around the motel room, and I'm in the lobby, and they said, "Okay." It was a monster's pack, and that's the first thing he says. Nobody's going to believe that. Nobody can pack that. And but it was I've been hungry before. In Nam, I was hungry for 5 days once, and I know what it's like, and it's not fun. And I was always nervous that I wasn't going to have enough food. So, and at the same time, I think it's global warming is the problem, because for some reason the ground isn't as soft as it was 40 years ago. Have you noticed that?
Well, I noticed that too. It's real. I hate camping on the ground anymore. I used to do it. I used to love it.
Yeah, it used to be soft.
I think it's just that maybe the earth is just getting older. It's getting harder.
Yeah, it might be getting older. It's maybe I don't know. Something's happening. So
can't be me or you.
Yeah, it can't be. So I had to carry a memory foam mattress out there with me. And of course, it's in September up in the mountains of British Columbia, golly dang, and it's a rainforest area, so I had to bring a wood stove too. So a good friend of mine over here, a bush pilot friend of mine, had this sheep herder's wood stove that had never been used. It looked like it was in a box that's 50 years old. And he let me use it, and boy, was that ever a godsend out there.
Well, yeah, I'll bet. I mean, what's that weigh? 5 pounds?
Probably a little more than that. you know, I waited out the. You know, they have those, what do you call those air mattresses that you blow up and little thin pads. Right. This thing weighed only a few pounds more than that, and it was just bulky. So so I tied that memory foam mattress on the bottom, and my wood stove fit perfectly on one side of it, and then I had that big old coffee can tin that they used to have coffee come in about 2 foot by foot by foot, you know, those big tins. And I put that on the other side, and it sort of weighted and balanced it out like you was loading a pack horse. And, you know, I've done a lot of experience loading pack horses up in the mountains of Alaska, prospecting and stuff. So I just, it took me a while to pack it all and get rid of all the airspace. And I did stuff like, I got 2 cases of ramen noodles, and I took them all out and crushed them all up and put them in bags so I wouldn't be packing air, just like you do if you're packing a horse. You don't want to pack air.
Right. You don't want to pack air, and you want to make sure that he's nice and level and square. Yep.
Everything's got to be balanced. Otherwise, you're going.
Right.
You won't be able to walk. But anyhow, that was quite a deal. They dropped me off out there, and of course my premise is once they dropped me off and told me to do my own thing, well, you know, I said, well, I'm in there. All I had to do was pack it in, you know. So once I'm in there, I just dropped everything off and just took my shotgun and I went off for about an hour and a half looking for a campsite. I found my campsite, and then I piss-stamped everything to it in 3 trips. So that's why I packed it so heavy, is that I realized all I had to do was get in there. And once I got in there,
they dropped you off, you dropped your equipment, you went and looked for a place.
Yeah.
Found it. Yeah. Hey, you know, it's about working smart.
But the thing is they went a little further than that, because we had camera crews there for coming in. And they had
when they dropped you off.
Yeah, so they didn't just drop me off. We spent almost 6 hours coming in, packing that. I had to pack it for about 6 hours total, and packing it in, because as they took film of me packing in. But once we got up to the top of the canyon, looking down in, you could hear on the show, they sit there and said, "All right, John," the producer said, "Cameraman, back off. John, go do your thing." And and I knew it was real, because they immediately sat down and started eating lunch, and they didn't invite me to it. So that's when I knew, oh, this is real.
I guess I'm on my own now.
I'm out here alone now, and it's so I packed on down and they left, and holy crud, I'm out here alone now. It was quite a, you know, I'm not, you know, I've spent a lot of time alone in the wilderness by myself, so in bear country, so I'm probably had a little bit better experience than some of the other guys that haven't done it. And a lot of people in the world haven't spent their alone time out in the wilderness, and that's something that very few people get to experience, and it's quite a thing. I'll never forget. I was up prospecting up in Tustamina Bench up here in Alaska, and I was by myself, and we had a dead moose down at a lake. Harvey Lake is the name of it, and everybody. There was a reason that everybody left me in camp. There was 3 of us there, and everybody left me with all the horses they needed. We had 8 horses, and they took off on some kind of deal with some hunters that needed some help to get back in, and so there wasn't enough horses for me, so I had to stay in camp with that dead moose for 2 days. And oh man, you talk about that first night. Woo! Mercy sakes! I had a bonfire that makes the Texas A&M University bonfire look like nothing. I'm sitting there, I didn't sleep. And did you see all them finger grooves in that shotgun I had on the show? They all came from that first night I spent alone in bear country.
Yeah.
We have a question in the room, John.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, from our friend David Bogan and David Bogan in Georgia.
Hey, David.
He's actually from the motherlode country of California and lived up in Washington, but now he resides in Georgia. We know him personal, but we've all met through YouTube and Gold Prospector space. But what advice would you give to anyone who wants to do what you did?
And he just laughs. That's a good one.
1 out of 1,000,000 will do it. There's only one way to do it.
Do it.
And that's to sell everything you own, get a van or something and take off and just take off.
Yeah, because you live in your van, right?
I've been living in a van for 20 years. I've got 3 of them here right now. I've lived in 4 vans over the last 20 years. Still own 3 of them. The first one was I'll never forget. It was go back. When I was 7 years old, all I could dream of, all my childhood dreams, were of Alaska and the Alcan. So I dreamed of Alaska, and I read everything there was to read about it, gold mining, horseback riding in the mountains. That was my big thing, being with a string of pack horses out in the mountains, and where there's no human beings. You won't see anyone for weeks at a time. And I used to lay on a stock tank over there fishing at night as a little boy, 7, 8 years old, and I'd wrap my line. That was back in Texas. I'd wrap my line around my big toe in case I had a bite and look at the stars and dream about Alaska. And I was listening to KTSA San Antonio 55 on your dial with the brand new transistor radio. The transistor just came out, and we was listening to what they call classic rock today. You know, we were the start of it. So you know, all
the Roy Orbison and
all that good stuff. Chuck Berry and you know, yeah, it was the start of rock and roll music. You know, and I'm laying there thinking about Alaska. So all my life I was going to do this, and all my life, and this is what you're going to come across. David, was it?
Yes.
You're going to go and say, I'm going to go live my dream. And everybody's going to say, oh, no, you're just running away from things. You're just running away from things. The hardest thing in the world is tell you everybody to kiss off. I'm going to go live my dream. And it was January 1st. I'll never forget it. 21 years ago, January 1st, I had a couple of retail stores in Corpus Christi, Texas. And they had this old van for sale for $600. And I went to go buy that van. And so I could haul, you know, concrete statues and stuff that I sold in my store. And I got in that van and I looked in the back and it was empty, and all I could see was Alaska. And I made my decision right then and there. I paid $600 for that thing. It took 3 feet to drive it. If you step on the clutch, and if you stepped on the brake, it would die. So you have to have you'd have to have your heel on the brake and your toe on the gas pedal in order for it not to die when you stopped. So it was amazing. It would drive, it'd go 45 miles downhill and it'd go about 35 uphill, and some of those hills maybe 15, 10 first gear. But it was, I saw Alaska, and I made my mind up. I am going. I had 2 businesses, and I decided to sell everything, and I sold everything a nickel on a dollar. My business is everything. February 3rd, I had everything given away, where all I owned was what I could put in the back of that van. That's it. And I took off. And, you know, so all these people that were telling me I should have done it long before that, but everybody was telling me, oh, no, you're running away from this, running away from that. But I guess I had one benefit. I was sober 5 years by then, 6 years, something like that. And I was separated from my last wife. I had 4 wives, and I separated from her, and she died, and I didn't have any relationship or anything like that. And I brought it up on the TV show too. This is another thing that I suggest. You got to quit drinking. You got to quit smoking, because when you're out, like I said, I could never do an adventure like that. How am I going to carry 12 cases of beer with me? How am I going to carry 5 cartons of cigarettes, and a case of whiskey? I couldn't carry all that out and go on an adventure. So there's a lot of things you have to do that most people won't do to live a life like I live, because you got to just start completely over with your skin and own nothing, be attached to nothing, and just go do it. And that's hard for people to do. You got to just uproot yourself from society as it's
let go of all the anchors.
Yep.
You got to get rid of everything. And when I hit Alaska, I didn't know a soul. I had $200 left in my name, and I had that rickety old van that, I'm surprised it even made it. And I made the trip from Texas to Alaska in that thing 5 times.
Wow.
And it was in 5,800 miles, and the fastest I could go would be about 45 miles an hour downhill. But anyhow, that's my advice is, if you want to do it young, before you get all tied down in the so-called American dream, where you got you're married, 2 kids in a house and 2-car garage, and work up the corporate ladder and all the good stuff that you get tied down with. And you get tied down with that stuff. The more you're tied down, the harder it's going to be to get rid of it. You can,
accumulate.
One of the hardest
things it's either that, or just like you said, you're in your corporate life and you go on through life, and finally you retire and you go, oh, gee, I didn't get to do that, but I'll do a little bit of it now. Now that I'm retired.
Yeah, yeah. You're retired.
But, and not everybody can.
And usually by the time you retire, you can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So only reason why I know that I could carry that pack out there, Ed, you was talking about, Jess, about me being 60. I was 68 at that point. I was almost 69. I was a month away from 69. The only reason I was able to do that is because I've been doing that for 20-something years.
Right.
And so I take people out here, and I teach people how to prospect. And I have a trip. I take people out in the wilderness out here where there's no trail, no development. We go out and we bushwhack through the brush. I don't make any. I follow bear trails, animal trails.
I've seen some of your videos of where you've taken people out on either a day trip, or you have other trips, right? Besides just a day trip.
And see, and I'm packing all their lunch. These people they're lucky they can carry themselves through. So I'm packing their lunches, their water, their gear, the whole work. So I do that as a regular part of life. Packing 70, 80 pounds out into the wilderness, and then all, I don't care what you say. A string of pack horses up in the mountains is hard work. So if you wait till you're 65, you may not have the, depending on what kind of job you have. If you're sitting in an office and corporate ladder, you might have to go to the gym for 3 years before you can do it. And I don't know if you can get, I've worked out at the gym I did that one winter, 6 months. I worked out at the gym, and the first day out in the wilderness, I couldn't make it. The gym wasn't good enough. Even working out an hour a day was not being in shape enough to do one pack trip out into the woods. When you put that pack on and you take off to on a trail that's not there, animal trail, through limbs, under limbs, over trees, through the Devil's Club. I had a ranger guy out there with me this year, and we were going through there, and he says, "Man, this reminds me of ranger school." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you ought to see it where it's tough. This is easy stuff." I killed a moose once 35 yards away, and it took 4 hours to get to it. because a horse could go through the alders, a moose could go through the alders, a man couldn't go through the alders, a man on a horse sure couldn't go through the alders, so I had to ride down the mountain and come back the other side, 35 yards away. So, but anyhow, if you wanted to live the way I did, my advice would be do it while you're young. Don't let people talk you out of your dreams. Your dreams are important. Don't get addicted to drugs, alcohol, tobaccos, or anything that you can't go and live without. You're addicted to any of that stuff, you're not going to be able to do it because you just can't carry it out there enough with it.
All that takes energy that you need to be using to be out there. That's, the energy involved in first of all packing it all in, and even the energy involved in using it and doing it. So I can see where that would be a hindrance in doing something like that.
First of all,
you've always had the desire to look for gold since you were a little kid, huh?
Yeah, I dreamed of that. That was my dream. See, that was my childhood dreams, was to know. I've always wondered what New York City and what Ohio looked like before man came in there and built all this stuff. When age of Columbus. Yeah, when it was New York must have been a beautiful place.
Ohio was nothing but swamp. So
Ohio was swamps, but you got Farmington and all those right there in Massachusetts, right out of what do you see from Farmington, those reservoirs and all. I learned how to ski over snow sled over there in Farmington, Connecticut, I guess, or was it Massachusetts? Farmington is somewhere back in that area, and what beautiful country! I can't imagine what it must have looked like before men got there. And so my dream was to see what it was like to live in that kind of a deal where you're the first one, the only one there. And it was a challenge. And I did that for 10 years in Alaska, where I'd spend up to 10 weeks, 12 weeks at a time, where I was a 3-day horseback ride from the nearest end of the nearest gravel road. I'm out there with a string of horses and not going to see another human being or any sign of another human being except for an occasional plane flying over. So I got to live that and see what the country is like before there was roads and people, and I saw beauties beyond your wildest dream, and sort of the same thing with the show. It was a challenge. Could I do this? Could I go out there and do this and find gold? And of course, I didn't know a whole bunch about gold mining before I got up here. Am I talking what kind of stuff you want to hear?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple more questions.
I'm sorry, did we interrupt?
Yeah.
Well, interrupt me if I tell people when I get to yakking, I said, if you get tired of listening to me, walk away. I'm used to people doing that. No. You won't offend me, but tell me.
It's very interesting. Very interesting.
No, it's great.
But I do have some questions though. Like, you're in Cooper's Landing, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I mean, is that the only place you've been in Alaska? Did you go all around Alaska? Have you traveled the whole, most of the state or whatever you can travel?
Yeah, that's. I'm really. That's one of the things that bugs me about being here. What I do, you only have the season, so I have not seen anything I've seen almost everything from Fairbanks to Homer that has on the highway system, but I have not seen remote places that you fly to. Now, I've seen all the Kenai Peninsula by horse and foot and boats. So I've seen wilderness, but I have not been to Nome and some of these places like that. I'd like to, and in the summertime, I don't get a chance to go too much north of Anchorage, where I can go up into Chicken and some of those places up there where there's some really nice mine. I got a picture up here of a friend of mine found in central Alaska one season, about $150,000 worth of gold, and I'm holding a pan there with 3 nuggets in there, and it's 13 ounces. And And
wow,
this was in Central. He found these with metal detectors, but he allowed me to take a picture with his $150,000 worth of gold. And I always wanted to go, but I actually tied myself down. Once I got through with my dreams and I started this little business, I've actually tied myself down in the summer where I don't get to go and do as I used to.
Well, no, because now you've got this business. And
I've got this darn business again.
Yeah, that's might as well have gotten married. Huh?
You throw
My God, I might as well just quit and go and do it, right? That's what I need to do. I need to do it again. But
stop too long in one place, you start growing roots. So.
I started growing a dead burn root in the ground. And, but I still live in my van, and the last couple of years I've done 4-month road trips, which is exciting. I got to go and learn about hard rock mining and Tombstone. Last 2 winters.
I actually have a video of that. Want to see it, everybody? Okay, where is it? Let me get it set up.
I see. Hey, Ray Russow's in the house.
Yeah, from he's
Juneau,
from
Alaska.
Juneau, Alaska, and he's also a YouTuber, John. And he was who we were talking about. Does dredging.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He says on here, living in hard outback with no modern stuff like toilets and electric sucks. I've done it.
I've been doing it for 21 years.
Let's take a look at this video you have here posted, John. I have it all queued up, ready to go. How about it?
Go for it.
Want to set it up?
Well, yeah. If you want to, it's a beautiful video. If it's the one I'm thinking, if you're watching the video and listening to it, or you just listening to it, it's 2 different videos. If you you'll hear something different if you're not watching it. But I was over in what was his name? I forget this creek. We were out prospecting and we found some gold. I got another video that I need to put on YouTube of that same trip up there. But I was doing a little hard rock searching there, and I found a rock in here, and it's a neat thing. I had to have that rock. You'll have to watch it.
All right, here it goes.
Oh, yeah, it is. I may not be gold, but I found a rock down here that's...
Yeah, I did listen to it, and you're right.
Gotta have
it. Will I be seeing it, Ed?
Got a piece of it.
If you're
eventually.
If you're lagging, it might be a minute or 2 if you're watching.
Well, there's a delay of a few seconds.
Okay.
I come for vacation.
Yeah, I give tours in the underground silver mine over in Tombstone in the winter. This winter, it looks like they're going to close that mine down. No tours. I'm trying to talk the guy into letting me run it, but it was real fun. I give 45-minute tours down underground, 108 foot, and teach about how they prospected and how they prospected Tombstone, found all the mining, gold and silver, and I actually have 8 pounds of ore that came from 1929 from the contention mine that assays out at 4 ounces of gold per 100 pounds, equal amount of silver, platinum, and 31 other minerals.
Huh.
That's how rich it is.
John, Dan Zoller wants to know if you have a YouTube channel.
I do have one. I don't ever go to it, but I should.
I might have it linked down below. Oh, actually, I don't. But
you don't ever go to it, so you probably don't have very many videos on there then, huh?
He has that one video I just showed on there.
Oh.
Did you just show the video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
Oh. We did.
He might be lagging pretty good then.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, he's in Alaska. You know?
Everything sounds good. I'm in the green so far the whole time, which is nice.
Yeah, sounds real good. Doing good.
Yeah. So y'all are watching the video, okay?
Well,
it's already over.
Already over. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I covered my eyes and I was just listening to it, John, and I kind of started chuckling because you're right.
I'll never forget.
Earlier today.
I'll never forget. We were watching that. Buddy and I were watching that, and we just didn't pay no attention. And this bystander was sitting there, and he comes out and says, "Are you guys watching porn?" So I listened to it without watching it. It's two different looks, isn't it? Yeah, but that was a fun trip. I sit there and I say I've got roots, but with my van, going on the road for 4 months at a time. How many people get to do that? So I guess I got a question here. A couple of questions actually.
I remember the sluice that you made during the show, right?
Yeah.
Somebody asked what type of equipment you use.
That was Patrick Moore.
Well, David also wanted to know if you use gold hog mats.
Oh, okay.
I'm curious as to what type of equipment you use.
And David has another question he asked a little while back, but I was going to get to Patrick's ones first, but go ahead, Jesse.
Well, just wondering what type of equipment you use out there to take people out and.
Oh, out there.
Yeah.
I got to apologize to get to this place that I go. I had to get a permit from the Forest Service to take people out there because it's against the law in Alaska to take anyone to the creek. So you can't get to it by land, so we have to go by raft. We raft down the Kenai River, about an hour rafting down the river, and then we get off the raft and we bushwhack out about a half a mile crow flight, but it takes about a mile of walking to get back. And I used to have everybody that went with me carry their own sluice box, their own shovel, their own pan, their own classifier, all that, their own buckets and all that. But I have all that gear now stashed under during the summer. I had to take it out in the winter because the Forest Service requires it. But I have it stashed out there under a big old cottonwood tree. So nobody's been really upset that I took that authenticity out of it. And I have all the gear out there. They're all right with not having to carry it in. So I have sluice boxes, I have your pans, I have classifiers, shovels, scoops, and that's the equipment I have out there. First aid kits. I have even a toilet seat for the women if they want it. But it's all stashed out under the Devil's Club. And right now it's pulled back in. My first trip out, I haul all that stuff out. But what was happening is I had people haul it out with them to be authentic, and it ended up me hauling most of it. So I put a stop to that.
I'm sure once you explain that, well, it's either it's out here or you pack it in and pack it out.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure they understand.
When I get on, one of the things, this is interesting, when I get off the boat with them all, the Forest Service requires me to talk about bears. And then I always sit there and I always say, I had 8, 9 people. I said, we're here on this little gravel bar, and there's nobody around in 1,000 miles. There's no roads. There's no place to go. We're out here. We're as a group of people looking for a homestead, and I put this into it. We're homesteading, and we want to find a place that we can find gold. So when we go to town, we can buy our annual salt and flour and sugar and all that with gold. So we're going prospecting for a gold mine. Somebody's got to find food tonight. Somebody's got to find shelter tonight. Somebody's got to prospect for gold tonight and all this. And we're going to go, and not everybody has got the same physical. Most of the time people aren't physical. And so I sit there and we're going as a family group, as a unit, and we're going to go according to the unit. Said we never know what's going to happen. And I've had people like, I had a woman that fell down in the water and got soaking wet, and it was like 38 degrees and it was cold. And there was so there was 4 women and 4 men, and the women got her off to the side and stripped her, wrung out her clothes. All those men built a fire, and we spent 2 hours warming her up, getting her ready to go before we took off again. So it's a sort of an adventure type thing where I teach how do you find surface gold, because if you're mining, you're going to, you know, gold is all bedrock. If you're out there prospecting for it, you got to find gold on the surface. You don't have time to go down to bedrock, because that could be 8 foot, it could be 20 foot, it could be forever down, it could be China.
That's something you do after you get settled.
Yeah. So you've got to be able to locate gold, and I've gotten good at this. That's on the surface, and if you find it on the surface, then you know it's in the bedrock too. So this is the kind of atmosphere I put, and then I give them a little bear safety thing about that I'm required to do, and about how to walk creeks. We wade creeks, and it's a pretty physical thing. You're going. My guests don't. All they're carrying is their walking stick, and I'm carrying a shotgun, a pistol, and backpack full of gear, and all that. And if you can walk a set of steps and walk a mile, or you can do this trip, because it's not it's flat basically, but we, you know, a foot or two here and there where you're going up a creek bank or something. But the hardest part sometimes is going over big logs that have fallen down. You know, you might have to step 3 foot over a log, or and then we wade through creeks and stuff. And sometimes people will you know, they'll fall into the creek. You know, I got to teach them how to walk across the creek. And sometimes I've had youngsters. I've had 6-year-olds out there, and of course I just pick them up and carry them across the creeks. And my last trip I had to make, there was only 4 people, but I had to make 4 trips across the creek, because I had to take each one individually, and hold them so they wouldn't fall. But we did it. We did it, whatever it took.
Are you going across fast moving water or what?
Oh, it can move fast. It's not that it's that deep, but you know, 1.5 foot, 2 foot. But if it's running fast and you don't have balance, and you've been all your life, you know, you lift that foot up, and that water's going to just pull you. I mean, it's going to take your boot right with you, and you can't do that. You got to learn how to shuffle your feet, and not be stepping on, when you shuffle your feet, that your rocks that you're on are not slick.
Do that minor shuffle.
Yeah, so I walk across it fast. I can just zip across it, but I don't want anyone falling in. So I think everybody could have done it, but I wanted to be safe that nobody fell in, because if they fall in, then we've got the idea that we got to warm up, and that takes away.
And that's a setback.
Then off to the Prospector shuffle, right, Jesse?
Yeah. So, so and as we walk along, I talk about why I didn't get excited about gold here, and I ask people. I said, I tell them a little bit about gold. You know, it's 18 times heavier in water, and how a rock in the stream, and it causes water hits it carrying gold, and it's a low pressure up below it and behind it, and it sucks it in like a vacuum, and all the stuff about physics of gold. And then I have them observe what we're going through, and because I give them a test. You don't have to pass it, but I give a test where I stopped and. My favorite place to prospect, where I found gold, I walked by it. I wasn't excited about it until I walked by it 60 feet or so, turned around and looked back, and I saw 3 things that made me turn around and go back to it. And that's the test I give them. Can you see it? And it was, what it amounted to is I didn't recognize the ancient stream bed until I was 60 feet in, and turned around and looked back, and realized. Number one, there was no, it was young growth. We had been walking through cottonwood trees that 2 men couldn't put their arm around, might take 3. men, and then all of a sudden we had young growth, and we had big rocks, all smooth and river rocks on the surface, and we had I look back and here's a drop off 2 foot. You know, so hey,
right.
So
most of the people you take out, are they like totally inexperienced? Do you ever take out people that have a little bit of experience or more experience?
Almost everybody has just a very little experience, and they're wanting to learn. And they see, I have the little shop there where I give you a bucket and a shovel, and I have a high banker set up and with pumped water, and you can run a bucket of raw gravel through it, and I'll teach you how to clean out your sluice box and then how to pan it and all that. And most of your places that teach gold mining, all they do is give you a bag of dirt, and here's a pan and here's a trough, and you know, people don't want that. They do like my raw gravel thing better than they do the pan of dirt. But there's people that say, hey, I want to find gold in the wilds. I want to know what it's like to go out into the actual stream and dig up.
I knew it. I call it the wild gold for a reason.
Yeah, they want to go and find it, and you know, the best group. And this is a story. The best group I ever had out there. I had 8 Germans, and they couldn't speak a word of English. You know, hardly any. And I took them out there, and they worked as teams. They used 4 sluice boxes. They set up 4 sluice boxes in the creek. All right, they started shoveling gravel. And one of them had a piece of nice little picker nugget popped up in the top of his sluice box. And he started hollering, and just visualize this. He's standing up and he's squatting down, pointing down and hollering, go, go, go. And he's squatting and he starts dancing around. All 8 of them started dancing around that, hollering, all of them hollering, go, go. And then they broke into singing the song North to Alaska.
Oh, no.
And as they danced around it, they sang the whole entire song. I'm sure they're musicians and whatever, because they had a good voice. And they sang the whole song. And when they got through, you know what they told me? Let's go home.
Yeah, their whole idea was to find that piece of wild gold.
That piece of wild gold. And they paid me $289 a person to take them out there.
Yikes.
Cool. And
we get excited over respect.
That's something that they did to check off their bucket list.
They checked it off. They wanted to find gold in the wild, and all they needed was to find one. And they already planned what they were going to do. They already planned they were going to sing that song.
They probably talked about it all the way over. They probably
how does that song go? Anyone, can you sing it?
Oh, I remember the movie.
North to Alaska, Donnie Hart.
Yep.
The rush is on. But
yep, there was that song. That's right.
Yeah. So that's a awesome thing, and you know, we really had this year. We really some neat things happened to us out there. That we had a storm that knocked. I have a video of this too. That storm knocked down this huge cottonwood tree, and I've got a video. You'll have to look at it. It's on my Facebook for sure. I'll have to post it on my YouTube. And the root system was about 15 foot tall and about 20 foot wide.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that on your Facebook.
And it was on the edge of, and I always suspected that I had an ancient stream bed there as well, but I didn't never stop in there because we're going out there for just a few hours, and I expected the overburden was too thick, and we'd have to go through 3-4 foot of overburden. But this tree fell out, and go lo and behold, there was huge rocks and boulders in the roots of it, all around it, rocks and river cobbles, and you know, and
I saw the gold that they got from underneath that root there, picking at the root. And
they only used, that was 3 5-gallon buckets is all they did.
Wow.
and that was a lot. And that's a lot of gold for that. And I can't wait to next year. It's going to be unreal. And that is. There's actually 3 stream beds there. That was the first. Well, actually, there's one more older than that one. Then there was that one, and then there's another one, and then the one that I was working. And I've been working, and now we're gonna. The last trip we have this, the call them 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I can pinpoint out where they all are, and I found out that the overburden is not a problem. We're going to be able to work that, and so I'm so excited. It's already the end of the season, but I'm so excited.
Scrape that right off, huh?
Oh man, we found all that gold just breaking that what was in the roots.
I know. I was watching that. I saw that video where it was just
It's and rain's going to wash it down, but it's going to still be just loaded, and there's going to be loaded with gold. We're going to. I've never had anyone not find gold that did some digging. It's not a man probably could make a living in there, but you'd have to tear it out, tear up the whole place. And I'm not a miner. You know the difference between a miner and a prospector, right?
Yes.
Tell us.
My definition of a miner: he starts off as a prospector. He finds gold and he goes, "Hee-haw, gold!" And he buys a shovel and goes to work the rest of his life. A prospector finds that same gold and goes, "Hee-haw, gold!" Washes it back in the creek and he looks over the horizon and wonder what's over there. So he goes to look, anything to avoid work. That's me. I take people out to the gold that I found and let them do the work, let them prospect, let them enjoy. And I sit there and I get really bored going out there because I already know there's gold there. Why would I go back? It's gold there. Why? I want to go find another. The best I've ever found is a 5-day horseback ride from the nearest road. And a man could get filthy, filthy rich there. And I just washed it back in the creek and went on. I found gold in so many places, it's unreal. And I guess I'm lucky in a way that I don't have the gold fever that I want to get it all. Once I find it, I'm bored. Mining is just hard work, boring. I get a thrill. There's, my deal is if I don't find any gold in 3 to 4 or 5 gallon buckets of dirt, I go on.
Okay.
And I go in, and I get a thrill out of looking. I'm riding horses out in the wilderness, and I said, the geography, everything here, I bet there's gold here. And then I'll go and get my gear out, and I'll get off the horse, and I go down there, and I find it. I get so excited about finding it that I words can't explain it. There's gold here, and I get thrills like I had some friends beginning of this season. They were bitten by gold so bad, they were out prospecting. Okay. And they went in, and I let them use my wash plant. They brought buckets over. They didn't have a sluice box, and it was ice on the ground, and the creek was all frozen. But they dug up a few buckets of gravel, and I let them use my wash plant to run that ore through. And they didn't find any gold. And said, "Can you come out there with us and let us show the place?" So I went out with them, and they showed me where they were digging. And I said, of all the places in this whole place you've done, that would probably be the very last place I would dig. And after about an hour and a half of walking through there, I showed them where there was a ancient waterfall. They have a fantastic place. They're finding gold. There's an ancient waterfall there. Believe it or not. Nice. An ancient waterfall. And it's just a small area. It's not going to be a massive amount of gold in it, but they're finding enough gold for their hobby to go out there and play. When they go play, they have a stream right there. And they got a sluice box now, and they could dredge it if they wanted to, but they haven't gotten to the point of dredging. It'd be hard to dredge it because it's a dry ground. You almost have to high bank it, and maybe one day they'll get them a high banker and they could really do some work in there. But see, I got so much joy of teaching them how to read that area that they were prospecting. And to me, you can if you can be a miner and you can dredge all day long, but if there's no gold there, what's the use?
Yeah, you're just working.
You're just working. So if you don't know how to find the gold, you can have all the equipment in the world. It's waste of money, waste of time, waste of money. You got to be able to look at the land and say, there's gold here, and there's not gold here, and there might be there, and it is there, maybe, might not, maybe, and if you don't learn how to do that, it's a waste of time. And so that's what I enjoy doing, and is teaching.
You enjoy teaching. You enjoy showing people how to do that, and watching their excitement.
Yeah,
and I hear that. You know, yeah, that's the way when I teach Boy Scouts or show you that this is how you find it, and you teach them about gold itself.
Right. Yeah, when we do the Scouts, that's really fun.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. And
one of our buddies in here, John Wolf, he's from Texas. He said that your dirt was some of the first dirt he ever panned.
Oh wow!
He said he liked it. He really liked it too.
Yeah, well, it's pretty good dirt. I'll tell you the honest truth. The dirt I get over here, the reason I built this wash plant in my place over here is because I was over with a friend and we were digging a septic tank and we found this ancient stream bed by accident. You would have never, ever, it was flat ground, you would have never known that millions of years ago there was a stream flowing through there because it's flat ground. But when that bucket went in there and pulled out all that river rock with a clay bottom 8 foot down, my buddy and I both ran for our gold pans. And holy mackerel. And it's impossible to get a claim. You cannot mine it where it is. It's too close to, I'm not going to tell you what river or lake or whatever, but it's too close to it's too close to any to the salmon streams and whatever that you cannot get a claim and you're not allowed to do it. But there's nothing stopping me from getting a bobcat load of gravel and hauling it to my place and letting everybody that comes to me, all the tourists come in, and everybody I sell online to mine this. So how are we mining that? Online.
You're not.
We are. You guys are. Your buddy in Texas you just talked about, I forget what you said his name was.
John Shaw.
Yeah.
John Shaw.
When he buys my pay dirt, he's buying it from that place. Everybody that comes to my place over here and they dig up a bucket of gravel and go through my high banker, it all came from that stream, ancient stream bed that we cannot mine. So I bring a bobcat load of it over in 5-gallon buckets, and people run it through a high banker, and they're actually mining that ancient stream bed.
So that black material that you had on that porch there on the ground in that one video where you were talking about panning and stuff like that, that's your pay dirt?
That's where it comes from. Yeah, I just gave
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to order me some.
Yeah, so it's real rich ore. And so my joy is that I have 3,000 people this year are going to get to enjoy what, if we were able to mine it, it would be a handful of people mining it all for themselves, right?
Right.
This way I got how many thousands of people are going to get to enjoy rich pay dirt that's real, and it's not classified gravel, and it's not playground sands. It's been classified and salted. It is the real thing, just as those Germans went out there and found a piece of gold in Holland and sang north of Alaska. They found real gold in a real stream in a real place, and it makes a difference.
So you don't salt your pay dirt either. You don't add gold to it.
No, but I do put Martin salt in it sometimes.
Oh, okay. Morton, huh?
My favorite salt is Martin's. I like the iodized kind. No, I do not salt my pay dirt. I do make a disclaimer in there that I put a couple of pieces of gold in to make sure. Like when I'm out here and they're doing it over here, I guarantee it. And the way I guarantee it, if they don't find any gold, I give them another bucket. I've never, ever, ever, ever had to give them another bucket. But there is that possibility. There's always that possibility of nothing. So I put a couple of pieces in. So never will anyone ever not find gold. And I do make that disclaimer. Otherwise, that's all I do is put a couple of pieces of gold in there, 2 flakes, to make sure that you can't tell me that you found 0.
Right. I also noticed that you sell minerals and gems.
I started doing that. I sell lots of minerals and gems. I had a company that sold me these bags of gems that had they were awesome, and I bought 300 bags of them, and they were just awesome. And then I ordered the second batch, and it was a piece of junk. So over the years now, I've developed a source of finding this stuff from all over the world, and a reasonable enough price that by the way, Jess, I printed up your shipping label today for the gems I'm going to give to the veterans.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes.
I'll be shipping that tomorrow.
And I'll announce it right now. John has donated some gems that we're going to be using for our a vet prospecting project. Right. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Prospector John.
But anyhow, this is what I've come up to is there's, when I first started selling pay dirt online, that was in 2004, there was really about 1 or 2 people. I think there was Felix up here, and everybody that sold pay dirt sold genuine pay dirts. It was genuine actual stuff. It was pretty good. And then the last few years, you got millions of people seem like they're selling it. And I've looked at some of it, and most of them look like what they're doing is they get regular gravel and they use a classifier, and then they call that pay dirt. And anyone that knows their salt knows that that's if it's been run through a sluice box, you get rid of all that fine sands and the light sands and a lot of dirt, and you have the heavy sands left. And people that know what they're doing will be able to tell in an instant that this is playground sand or this is the real dirts. So I'm not going to. There's people out there competing with me now by saying I'm going to guarantee you a gram of gold. I'm going to guarantee you X amount of gold, and that's because they have to add it in there. I don't know how they're doing it. The only ones I could think would make any money out of that would be miners that were actually taking their gold and they can put it at the same cost they would get from an assay house and put it in real things. So some of them might be real, but some of them, from what I'm understanding, you're not finding that much gold, and it's been salted. And in my dirt, you might find a profit. I always sit there and say, I don't know what's in it. You might find a profit, but then again, you can win the lottery too. I always tell people, if you're not doing this for the fun of it, and if you're doing it for the gold, by God, just go buy gold.
Go buy some gold. Right.
If you're buying it, and I can't understand why anyone would buy a bag of dirt. They already know when they pan it, they're going to find 1 gram of gold because that's what it was guaranteed.
Well, honestly, some people don't have the ability to get out and actually look. Yeah. So there is a place for it.
Well, because sure there is.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that buying pay dirt is a bad thing, because I would never say it, because
I'm gonna renege. I know that there could be people that would want it for investment, and they go ahead and they buy that so they can pan it. But to me, the idea is that when you're out on that creek and you're running your high banker, or your dredge or your sluice, and at the end of the day you do a clean out and you sit down with your favorite beverage, and you're either going to cry or you're going to crying or you're going to go Eureka, right?
Right.
You don't know what's in your clean out.
Right.
Right.
That's an adrenaline rush. That's the whole excitement right there. I've worked all day long. Did I make it? What do I have in my pan?
Yep.
You don't know,
and then you got people like us too who enjoy doing it and enjoy the company of other people like you, people with like-minded ideas and being out. I'm in Ohio, so when I can find a spot that's a nice place to camp out, and there's other people there prospecting in the creek, and we're having a good time during the day, and it's sitting around a campfire at night. The amount of gold that you've gotten that day becomes like really secondary. Just the fact that you're out there hanging out with Dano, or
it's the gold you get. It's the gold you get around the fire at night when you're sitting around the fire. That's the real gold.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
That's the real gold.
That's what I'm trying to sell, is that experience. This is the real thing, and you're sitting around and you're prospecting and you don't know, and that excitement of knowing is this what do you got? And it's the fun and the excitement. But if you don't have that excitement, if you live in Texas, I feel for you, because there's no gold there other than maybe a little bit in Pedernales River.
Oh no, our buddy John Shaw, man, he finds it in his driveway. So.
But so you want to buy this gravel, but to me, the thrill of it would be, pay dirts would be to, I might find a profit, I might not, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to find as I'm watching that sand away. And I'm watching that. Well,
for the most of us, we realize that you're when you buy pay dirt, you're not going to have a profit. You know.
But every now and then you do. I've had people find $200 nuggets.
Oh, I've not been that lucky.
Neither
have
I.
Had it happen. And it can happen, and I find people finding $30, $40 nuggets.
Right. Well, actually, I know it can happen, because one of our buddies, I don't think he's out here tonight, he actually bought a bag of Felix pay dirt and found an ounce nugget in it.
Nice.
So it's not going to happen.
It can happen.
Right, it can. It's like I can find that ounce nugget here in Ohio sometime.
I remember Felix actually planted 1 ounce nuggets in X number of bags.
Right.
He did that for a long time. So I tried it one time planting a piece of gold, and one guy bought every bag. And I said, well, geez, this isn't what I meant. This wasn't what I had in mind. So I never did it. But where I was getting at with my gems and things on this whole thing is that I'm not going to go and salt my pay dirts. I'm going to keep it authentic, so you can have that I wonder excitement. You might not get as much, but I have a man that's been buying gold from me every month since 2004, pay dirt. And he says sometimes he finds a profit. Sometimes he sits there and he can't imagine how I put and he tells me, how do you put so much gold and so little dirt for so little money? I said, I don't put it in there. It just happened to be that the scoop I gave you happened to have it. So in order to be competitive, where I'm not doing that and I want to maintain that thing, I'm using, I'm adding, unless people absolutely don't want it, I'm adding these beautiful gems and fossils and stuff. And people are loving it.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, man, it's just awesome. And I've got about 50, 60 different minerals and gems. And I've got trilobites. And I just sent out a bag to a lady that spent $49 on it. So I gave her a whole full trilobite. I mean, it's like it's not even chipped. And
that's cool. That's cool.
So I'm going to add value. Instead of guaranteeing with the amount of gold, I want to maintain that excitement when you're paying.
The mystery.
I want to maintain that so you can visualize yourself sitting at that campfire at the creek, or you can even take it to a campfire and do it. And you can visualize that, and you can feel that aura and that what you just described was so beautiful around the campfire, and you wonder. It's not about the gold; it's about the wonder. And and if you find gold, wow. So if I add all this other beauties and stuff that gives you value, I can justify doing that, and then you still have that beauty of that experience, and so you have, and that's going to be the way I'm going to, and has started approaching this thing, is that, and the kids, oh my God, they just go crazy over those gems and things, and then once you sifted all that out, then you've got all the dirt to go panning and find the gold. So it's a two-way thing, and that's how I'm going. It's all my life it seems like I come up with ideas, and next thing you know, there's a lot of people doing it, and I keep coming up with more inventive ideas. And
our buddy John just mentioned the stones that you sent him. He says they're awesome. He carries that worry stone that you sent him.
I wonder if John has a video on it.
You know, you talking about me, John?
Well, our friend John Shaw, he does pay dirt reviews here on YouTube. Pardon me. So
the last time I looked, there was quite a few reviews on my pay dirts on there. The last time I looked.
Yeah, and I noticed I've been showing our audience your website and stuff, and I came across a couple of review videos, but I didn't click on them.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but to me, gratitude is the answer to the problems of life.
Gotcha.
Anytime when anything just gets overwhelming and life gets overwhelming and sounds like I got 1,000 things I need to do today, I choose to do nothing. And I get back in a quiet place and sort of meditate a little bit, and then I get myself into what I call an attitude of gratitude. Start thinking about all the things I'm grateful for. Like right now, I still see some green leaves amongst all the golden leaves, and we had our first ice, and it's still looking good, and the sun's shining. It's a beautiful day. I'm breathing good. I'm talking on the phone. I have a cup of coffee here, and I have glasses that I can put on to read the small print. I got a little heat here, and I've got shoes on, and I got a nice coat. And man, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It just goes on and on and on.
I hear that.
Yeah.
And if you get in an attitude of gratitude, all of a sudden, it's amazing. You get up from it and you find out that half the things you think you need to do don't. And I have a little card that I sent out. Since 2004, I probably have, no telling how many. I got these polished stones I get. I buy them by 55 pounds at a time. And since 2004, I've been giving one away in every single package I ship, and all my customers come into my store, and I have a little card. It's called A Gift for You, and I talk about, and I could read it if you want me to.
Go ahead.
Oh, sure.
And it's a gift, little card I give to them. And now I have a signed place in there where I can sign it, where watch me on Devil's Canyon Discovery Channel, and I sign it. And it says, "Gift for you. I've been carrying what I call a gratitude rock in my pocket for over 10 years now. I believe good things come into our life to the extent that we're grateful for what we already have. By carrying this stone in my pocket, I'm reminded at least twice a day, morning when I load my pockets and evening when I empty them, to be grateful. Anytime I see or touch my gratitude rock, I think of as many things as I can that I'm grateful for. I'm amazed at all the awesome things that have come my way since practicing gratitude these last years. I give you this polished stone to do with as you please, and possibly make of it your own gratitude rock. Thank you for your order, and I wish you the best of everything." And then now I'm signing it, and it has my website and my email address.
Very cool.
And I attached to it a stone, and in a little bag. I've been doing that now for a long time, and I get more feedback from that than you can ever shake a stick at.
Oh, I bet.
People say, wow, that's just what I needed. I was so overwhelmed. I was ready to kill myself. I was this or that. And I started thinking about the things I was grateful for, and all of a sudden I realized whatever. And, and time passes, and I don't know about you guys, but I've had some times where I thought the end of the world, everything falling down on me, like, how am I going to ever get through this? But they're all in the past, and I got through it.
Right.
And think of all the times you didn't think you're going to get through something, and you did.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It passed, didn't it?
It always does.
It always does.
It always does.
Always does. And by God, and the beauty of gold panning and mining. This a funny story, and stop me if I'm going crazy, but you give me
no, wait. Before you go on to your story,
here,
our friend Ronald here has a question for you.
All right, let me tell this story, and I want to talk to this question. This is good. This is the epitome of what we're doing.
Go ahead.
All right, I had a young family here. They had a man and a wife, and they had an 8-year-old boy and a 13, 14-year-old teenage daughter. And the boy was just thrilled to death. They bought a bucket of gravel for each one of them, 4 buckets of gravel. And the boy was so excited, it's unreal. The little girl was pissed off that Mom and Dad even thought about bringing her along on a vacation. She was, on her phone, cell phone, just madder than the hornet's nest at this. And they're forcing her to do this, and they forced her to do this gold panning. All right. So she's sitting there, and she has her earphones on and a cell phone in one hand. She takes a scoop and just throws it down in the sluice box. And she looks down there, and a piece of gold popped up. Guess what happened? About 5 minutes later, the mom comes over to me to the side and says, I want to thank you. I have not seen that smile on her in years. That girl put her cell phone away. She did it. She got so into it for an hour of her life there. All she could think of was gold in the earth, and she was in the earth, and it changed her life. And it got her excited about something besides their cell phone. And I just wanted to share that, the power that we have in gold mining and prospecting to affect young people and take them out there, teach them how to do it. When they touch earth and they touch this stuff, earth has a spiritual way of just touching these people, and you can change their lives. And it's just awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that we enjoy going out and doing the demonstrations that we do with the Boy Scouts.
Sharing our lifestyle.
Right.
There's a spiritual connection to the earth that kids today don't get in the schools and stuff in the cities. And when they touch that dirt, all of a sudden they say, wow, they're connected to the earth for maybe the first time in their life.
Right. They've taken their face away from that screen and done experienced a real experience, as opposed to seeing one.
Yeah.
Which is all you do on the internet and stuff. You just see those experiences. You don't actually feel them. So if you can get these kids out on the creeks or get them interested in playing in the dirt, it makes a big difference.
I mean, after a weekend at the creek, I go home. I don't want nothing to do with my phone, computer, or nothing.
Yeah. And God help you if you found a piece of gold. It really gets you, doesn't it?
Right. Made my weekend.
Gold has a magic of its own.
But it's just nice to get away and reset, get away from everything and reset life.
Yeah.
Right. Well, when you get all frazzled and you get all like you said, you just don't know what you're doing anymore. You're thinking crazy thoughts. The best thing you could ever do is go camping for a few days, a week.
Yep.
Oh yeah, get away from it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our friend Ronald had a question for you. He wanted to know He wanted to know what was the first thing you ate when you got back from your adventure. we can always count on Ronald to give you a question.
That was a good question. You know, when the producer picked me up, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and we had an hour drive to go to get back into town, and he asked me, he says, "What's the first thing you want to eat?" And I said, "Bacon and eggs." So we went to dinner and I had bacon and eggs.
There you go, Ronald. Bacon and eggs. Sounds good. I couldn't think of a better first meal.
I thought about, I mean, it wasn't even a doubt in my mind. I wanted bacon and eggs.
Yeah. And some coffee. Well, you had coffee.
And I had coffee, yeah. I had coffee out there and some tea, and I carried enough coffee. Well, that was the first food. Oh, and that was the best bacon and eggs. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Okay, you had a near-death experience while you were out there too.
Yeah, it could have been a real bad one.
It could have been. It could have been.
Yeah.
Fortunately, you weren't there. So on that, not counting that, what has been your scariest situation out there, being out in the backwoods by yourself?
Well, that night I talked about, my first night alone, is probably one of the scariest one I had. Yeah. But I had actually wasn't in any danger, but that was probably the scariest I had. And of course, I'm excluding Vietnam and that. But the one thing that where I was in danger, you know, I was scared to death over there, and I wasn't in danger. But being in danger and scared, I actually was I was actually coming up the Kenai River. I was actually out catching some sockeye salmon. I was actually fishing, and I was crossing a creek, and I was wading across this creek, and I was about halfway through, and there's a bank there, about 3 foot high, that I was going to have to climb up on. And as I was about through there, I had to, all of a sudden, I'm looking straight up in the air, right into her eyes. Sal stood up on her hind legs and towered right over me. And, of course, I had my shotgun with me, and I'm standing in the middle of this creek. She could have just lunged right on top of me. And I had my shotgun out, and I had it pointed at her, and I started sweet talking her. You know, I said, of course, I know I can kill her because I have a slug right between her eyes. So I said, you know, you got such pretty eyes, and I hate to have to put a hole between them. And, you know, if I kill you, sweetheart, your boyfriend's going to get mad, and then I'm going to have to kill him. And, you know, darling, we could stop all this stuff. All you have to do is walk away. And I kept on sweet talking her like I was trying to pick up a gal in the bar, and immediately she walked off.
Well, I personally, I have a theory about human and animal interaction. I think that animals actually sense when you're not trying to be aggressive with them, when you're trying to get them to understand what you're doing. You're not a threat. Even though you had a shotgun pointed at her head, you were sweet talking her, like you said. I mean, I've had experiences, not with bears, but with other animals where I totally believe they understood what I was telling them. Yeah. You know, well, it's just, I think that there is a way to communicate with any living creature. Yeah. You know,
and I use this example. Did you hear what I said? Like, I'm sweet talker, like I'm gonna pick up a broad in the bar.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah. You're supposed to say I need new pickup lines.
I was just envisioning this big old bear standing, and you're trying to blow a kiss to her, you know.
Yeah. Well, but
with a shotgun pointed at her. You know, so I'm all engrossed.
I always tell this story because, you know, everybody around here talks about when you encounter a bear, you're supposed to holler and scream and look big. Right. And I'm very much against that because of this incident. Let me tell you what really happened out there. I'm not through with the story yet. I'm sweet talking her. And she walks away. Well, you know what was happening is, and I didn't know it, closer to me than her were two baby cubs off on my side I couldn't see in the brush. So those cubs walked away and she walked off behind them. She was watching over her cubs. So I always say this, what would have happened if I'd been hollering and screaming and yelling? She would have taken that as aggression against her cubs.
Right.
So, yes, but what you're saying is true, because, you know, that big 10-point buck that you've been watching all year long in the opening morning is not there, and he's been there every day for 6 months. And you go out there opening morning and he doesn't show up, he knows you're out to kill him. Animals do know when you're out to hurt him.
Today he's going to be out here to do me in. I'm not going.
Yeah, they know that. They know. Animals do sense it. I'm convinced of that. Animals know when you're trying to hurt them, and they disappear. And if you're not trying to hurt them, of course, there's always exceptions to that rule. You got the what's his name, the bear man that got eaten with his girlfriend out there. What's his name out in Alaska? I'll remember it in a minute. You had a guy that got ate by a bear about 5-6 years ago in Denali that was taking photos and got ate by a grizzly bear. And Timothy Treadwell, you know, he lived with the bears. He had no fear whatsoever. Right.
I saw some of his documentary.
Yeah, but you know, when I tell people, old timers around here, when I first got here, I talked to old timers. They're all dead now. They told me, he said, John, you just haven't met him yet. And there was the two bears, that bear, Timothy Treadwell, and then the bear that was in Denali 5 years ago that attacked someone and ate him and ate Timothy. Both those bears were old bears. Old bears. And that tells me that the one I haven't met yet is the old bear that can't catch me. And he sees a human and he sees me. He says, I can kill that human. I don't know how true that is, but that's I feel that. I've had over 40 bear encounters in my life, close-ups, and I just make observations. But nobody really knows exactly what to do. But all you can do is make observations.
Keep your gun handy and be ready.
And be ready to make observations and stuff. And I'm thinking the bear that I haven't met yet is that old bear that has rotten teeth, and he can't catch a moose anymore, but he can catch me.
Right.
And he's getting tired of eating vegetables. And believe you me, I know what it's like to eat, not have protein on that show. I didn't have the only thing I regret is not carrying bacon grease with me, or some protein or meat.
Right.
Because if you're eating carbohydrates and that's all you're eating, your strength is gone. I never knew that. Even all those 12 weeks I'd spent out in the wilderness with the horses, I didn't experience the hunger I experienced on that TV show because we had horses. We carried bacon and eggs out there with us. The horses carried it out.
Right.
So we had mountain cows.
Just 1 second, please. I made a oops. I was gonna do something, but I forgot I had my commercial queued. We're going on an hour and a half. I hope you have more time to stay with us, I hope.
Oh, I'll stay with you as long as there's somebody not bored to death.
Excellent. All right, everybody.
When I bored you to death and everybody's walked away, then you just let me know and we'll stop.
All right, John. Excellent. Well, I need to follow up on my oops. Our audience understands. They've seen it already. Okay.
A
word from
one always full of oops.
Sometimes. Word from one of our major sponsors. All right, thank you very much, John. What I did, my oops, since you guys don't know if all of you've seen it yet, though, but I was gonna do one of my Facebook logo and URL or Twitter, and I forgot I had Prospector Radio all queued up for when John was done with his last story. But got that taken care of. Now, where were we?
Oh, we're in heaven.
Yeah.
Did you see that on the show when I'm laying there and just singing "You Are My Sunshine" and humming and quiet? And I said, I love that part. And I said, if there's a heaven, I've just been there.
Right.
Oh, I was just enjoying. I was beat. I was exhausted, and I just resting there, looking over a big, huge valley, and just closed my eyes and just relaxed in the wilderness out there alone. That's heaven, isn't it?
Well, I have done similar things. When I came back from Vietnam, I actually hitchhiked around the country for 3 years, just all over. One of the spots that I really loved, believe it or not, was sleeping on the side of the road in Arizona on Route 10, right by the Grand Canyon. I slept out. Well, I would take my sleeping bag and go find a spot off the road somewhere and camp there for the night. But I laid there. I have never, ever seen so many stars in my life than when I did that. That was just the most awesome feeling. Even though I was, like still in the middle of everywhere,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, being under the stars like that, just such a great feeling.
Yeah. I have a similar thing. I'm writing a book that I want to make into a movie. And it was originated from in Alberta, Canada, and I was camped out. It was minus 60 in the middle of the winter up on the glaciers of the Columbia ice fields, and I was camped out there in my van. And 2 o'clock in the morning, I had to go to the bathroom, and I sleep even in that cold. I have plenty of blankets. I sleep in the nude, so I got up and put my house shoes on, and I went out and the stars. I'm way up in the top of the mountains in the glaciers, right next to the glaciers. And it's like I could put them in my pocket. And the northern lights were just, I've never seen them so active. It is every color in the rainbow. And they were just, the whole entire sky was just moving left to right, back and forth. I mean, it's like I was in sitting in a colorful mixer, big, huge mixer. And it was just mixing all around me. And it was just like, I'm sitting there and I said, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm sitting there and almost froze to death before I realized that everything was freezing, coming right back up to me. That's how cold it was. And I got in the van, back in my van, and got in my cocoon and blankets and got warm again. But yeah, those moments like that are it's hard to beat. And
oh yeah.
And I had it this last year driving down, drove in January down to Whitehorse. One of my favorite places is Whitehorse, and I camp out at the headwaters of the Yukon River. And I got up at 2 in the morning to go to the bathroom. That's typical for me to get up 2 o'clock and go to the bathroom. And the northern lights again were just going like crazy. There was no way I could go back to sleep, so I got in the van and I drove for 3 hours under the northern lights.
That must have been awesome, just watching them as you're driving.
Oh yeah, because in a van you're right there at the windshield, so you can see everything. Right. And there's no way I could go back to sleep with all that going on out there. And I had the same thing happen when I came back in April. I was gone for 4 months on the road. I came back and I had the northern lights in Alberta again, and I drove under them. There's nothing like it. Jess, and you don't have to go far to do that. I just happened to be in that spot.
Just happened to be there. That right?
Yeah. And I was just sleeping, camped out under at the bridge of the Yukon River, a highway right there, Alaskan highway.
Yeah.
you know, so but being out there at the Harding, the Columbia ice field now, I'm the only one there. There's nobody out there at all. The people don't go out there in the winter, but I'm one of those that like to go and do. I like the unknown. So
now it's
Wanderlust.
you were saying something about your season's about done for this year.
This season is done.
Yeah. So what do you do in your off season then?
It just depends. Thursday and Friday, I'm going to drive a taxi cab over in Soldotna Kenai. And
so you do have real jobs then too.
Well, I drove a taxi cab for 14 winters.
Yeah.
And in Soldotna Kenai, so which is excitement in itself because I've driven in every kind of weather there is: ice, snow, blizzards, whatever.
I bet.
And 200-300 miles. So I enjoy that. I enjoy doing that. I actually made a trip once over the pass going into Anchorage. They closed the road right behind me, and I didn't know that. And it was snowing so hard up on the pass that it took me 3 hours to go a couple of miles. I couldn't see anything. It was such a whiteout. I had to get out of my van and get in front of my headlights, and I could walk about 10 feet, and then I couldn't see the headlights hardly anymore. But I'd walk in front of each headlight to make sure it was still on the road. Then I'd get in the van, drive 10 feet, get out and walk 10 more feet. So I walked myself out of there 10 feet at a time, walking in front of each headlight, making sure that I was still on the road. And then I was luckily I got out in time, because by the time I got out of there, the snow was from just, a half inch to 18 inch. It was almost 18 inches of snow by 2 hours later as I got out of there and could see the road.
So do you ever come back down to the lower 48?
Oh yeah,
I know you were in Arizona, but do you have other places you go? I mean, do you?
I have driven through take Hawaii out. I have driven through every state at least 3 times.
Okay.
There's only 3 states that I haven't been to, that I've only been to 3 times, and that's Florida, New Hampshire, and Vermont. All the rest I've been to numerous times driving. I've driven through every province of Canada, except for that new one they broke off the Northwest Territory a few years back, in Anovets or something. I haven't driven through that one. And I've driven all the way to Mexico City. So, yeah, I have always been a roamer. I left home when I was 14, so I've always been a roamer. I had a construction company in Texas when my drinking days, that all over the state of Texas, and then I borrowed some money, and I drank it all up in 3 years, and I hit my bottom in 1987. I was going to kill myself February 12th, 1987, because I had like 60 judgments, and it was a horrible, miserable life, and I couldn't stand it. I was laying there, and there was no way I was going to live another day like it. And I'm laying in bed with an out-of-body experience, and sort of like, and I was looking down and at my life, and I said, man, I'm a pretty neat, I was an all right guy, but look what I've done to my life. And I sat there and I said, wow, if I could just throw, it's like I was looking at the disaster of my life, if I could just throw lightning bolts down there. And I sit there and I said, God, could you, would you? That's all I said. That's probably the best prayer I ever said in my whole life. And I made a decision to make one phone call that my probation officer told me to call a lady in Victoria, Texas. And so I went and I called her, and I drove 40 miles to go see her. And she pissed me off so bad in about 30 seconds that I told her where she could stick everything and I come storming out. And she follows me out and said, John, said, there's an AA meeting in Hallisville tonight at 8 o'clock at the hospital. Asked for Jack, and I gave her one of them with my rod finger, just where you can stick all that. And I went to a convenience store there in Victoria, Texas, and I went and to the cooler, and I picked up a 12-pack of Miller High Life. And as I was walking to the counter, I started shaking so bad I couldn't stand it. I was just, all I could see was Miller High Death, Miller High Death. And I got it all to the counter, and I'm just trembling. All I could see was death. And I knew that if I drank that beer, I was dead. And I walked out of that store, and I made it to that meeting in Hallisville, and Jack was there. And by the grace of God, I haven't had a drink since February 12th, 1987.
Wow.
Very cool.
That's amazing.
And, So I don't know if you're watching the chat here, but you're getting a lot of invitations for,
down to Georgia,
Indiana, Georgia.
You ever prospect,
come prospect out
Georgia?
here.
Come down to Indiana. You are welcome here.
Well, I'm not seeing any chat. Is that all saved?
You'll be able to see it if you rewatch the video.
Okay, good, because I'll respond to them. Georgia's got some gold in it. I know that.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. That's well, the original gold rush.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of places have gold, and
Indiana.
Well, Jonathan's
Texas,
part of Indiana has some really good gold.
Does it?
Right.
Oh yeah. The southeastern Indiana.
Yeah.
It's all part of that glacial gold that we have here. It's all over here. Some places better than others, but it's all that glacial gold that we get out of the creeks.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's what I wondered. Do you ever get down here to prospect anywhere? And
I have done a little bit in the desert in Arizona and New Mexico, and I've done some in California, and I did a little bit in Colorado. If I go and I meet people, and if they're into it, we go up. I've been a lot of places where I've been with people, and I might not have been prospecting, but I meant looking at their backyard plants, whatever they have. And,
look at that creek.
And they're just mining out something. They may have dug from somewhere, and they talk about it. And I've mined around Hoover Dam, and that's pretty interesting back in there. And I've picked up, I've shipped a lot of dirt to myself from various states where I thought it might be gold, and I'll get a flat rate box and ship it to myself back in Alaska. But I've in the last 21 years, I've driven the Alaskan Canadian Highway 33 times, and so living in the van, that's my mortgage payment is a tank of gas. And,
right.
And I get the heebie-jeebies, and by God, I want to do something, and so I just take off and go do it. And there's nothing stopping me. And I'll tell you one thing about living a life like I am. If a lot of people want to do it, but I can assure you that it's a way to stay single.
Yeah, living in a van.
I haven't met her yet. I'm sure there's some gal out there somewhere that might want to live like that, but I doubt it. And I have the question: if I met a gal that would make me want to change the way I live, possible, but probably not for 24/7. I'd probably have to be. It would probably have to at least spend a part of the year in transit and moving around and doing.
Do you think that you're at this stage in your life that you're going to make any of those kinds of drastic changes?
Oh heck, I'm just as fertile, and I don't need Viagra. I know that, and I had red blood running through my veins just like anybody else, and it's possible, and I can visualize a right kind of woman that I would marry, but I wouldn't see a whole bunch of huge changes in their life.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see you changing your lifestyle all your life.
No,
even for the perfect woman, you know.
Yeah, well, but I can visualize a woman wanting to. There's a lot of people, you know. I visualize to me a perfect marriage would be living in separate houses, and and living your own life. And I can see women feeling the same way, you know. You're sitting there and I say, hey, you know, like this Thursday, I plan on taking. There's going to be 6 weeks of dance classes down in Soldotna, and I plan on taking them. I'm going to join them to our dance classes. They're going to teach how to do the two-step with faster music, and I'm excited about it. I love the two-step, and I could sit there seeing that I'm married to someone, and I call her up and say, hey, let's go and have a date Thursday night. And we'll go to dinner and we'll go to dance class and do our thing, and then we'll go in our separate houses again, and let's do it again next week. Or call them up and say, hey, you know, there's some neat thing going on. Let's go do this adventure, or let's go for a month here, or let's go to Jamaica. We can rent a house for a month, and let's go do that, and let's have it and make it like you were still dating. And I can see that being a possible scenario, and
then you would be living the dream,
and it would be living a dream beyond your wildest dream. It would make my dream even more dream. You know, because you know, sometimes I wish I had a female with me to enjoy the Northern Lights and the Columbia ice fields when they were everywhere like that.
Right, someone to share with them.
Yeah, because you crank up the engine in the van and you're warm. You know, that would have been a nice thing. As long as I didn't have to watch you brush your teeth every day while you're getting ready to go to work. you know, as long as, you know, let's go have a good time. And I can see women saying, hey, you know, I can live my life, and yet I don't have to worry about all the diseases and stuff. I have someone that we can go and have a total life with, and go enjoy a week or two here, or weekend a month, or a couple weekends a month, or a month of the year or something, and go really enjoy each other and enjoy life and visit something. I could see that'd be wild, but I could see that possibility. I haven't closed my doors to it.
Well, no,
but it still it'd still be living my life as I live it.
Right.
And with a little extra in there, and you know, so you know, I've had a few women that have contacted me since the show that are almost wanting to do stuff like that, but I haven't met any of them yet. Who knows? It's possible.
Well, I've noticed on your Facebook page, you have a lot of young ladies friending you.
Yeah,
being around you. Yeah.
And I enjoy that. It gives me a little bit of, but I'd like to have one that I can go and do things with.
Right.
You know, I have one female friend that's one of my favorite hunting and fishing partners, and from the very first day I met her, she said I was too old for her, and that I could be her friend if I wanted to. And we've gone on fishing and hunting trips for 3 weeks at a time, living in the same tent. And all we've ever done in the last 20 years is a hug when we see each other, and a hug when we leave. And that's it. And we'll sleep in the same tent, same thing. She's a petite little blonde, beautiful woman, and she's probably one of the best hunters I've ever seen in my life.
She's bacon and eggs for you?
Nah, she won't go there.
Yeah.
She's sort of like the gal I'm talking about. But we just do the hunting and fishing. That other.
You make your own bacon and eggs.
The virile part, you know, that's not. She's all hunting and fishing, and so she's an excellent partner in that. She catches fish better than most men, and she's a sheep hunter. She goes out sheep hunting by herself, and people that know me know who I'm talking about. And I won't tell her name because she'd kill me. And she would kill me if I even put her. She doesn't do Facebook or any of that. She likes to be quiet and peaceful and alone. But you know, that's a beautiful thing, and I treasure that every time I go into the town she's in. We go to have dinner, and we, you know, I have a place to stay if I want to, a couch to sleep on, and you know, I could see that being with the right person, where you could have romance with it, and that would be beautiful. It just hasn't happened,
Right.
and I'm not actually full time looking for it because I'm too busy living the life I live, and I'm okay if I never have the romance. But that's the biggest negative to where I live, is that romantic part. That's important to a person's life.
Sure.
And so all the Facebook friends I have, that's my contact with the female race that keeps me going. And I love to dance, and women like to dance, and so I get that that hug and that closeness of a dance, and you know, genuine care about each other. So I get that. I get that intimacy. I'm intimate. I can talk with these. You know, it's beautiful because I can talk about anything. So I have that, and it's important to have it. And so I have that, and I guess you noticed, like you say, you noticed that I have quite a few women friends on my Facebook, and so I'm not. I have to have it. I have to have a little of that. I couldn't be a monk. I couldn't live out in. I've done it for 12 weeks at a time out in the mountains where there's nothing but myself and maybe another man or two. You know, it gets old after the 42 days on that show. I was ready to come in and see somebody.
Oh, I bet.
You know,
are you ready for another question?
Oh, sure. Go for it.
Something about on the show. Our buddy Ronald wants to know what you thought when you had to dig through all that sand and then finally made it to bedrock like 20 feet down.
Okay, now that was Ben.
Person. That was Ben.
Yeah, that was Ben.
Yeah, I was thinking that was Ben. I was thinking that was you. That was Ben.
Yeah, that was Ben.
John got the high bench with the little brook and made that little poop tube sluice with the stovepipe.
Yep.
But I can imagine. You know, that was a nice. I love that part about Ben's show. That's pretty authentic looking. That's real. He showed that cutout of the bank, and you could see how that could be loaded with gold, and probably some coarse gold. And I loved when he rappelled down into those potholes there off them waterfalls. I knew he was going to find some. I knew he was going to find some nice pictures there, but that's something that's you know, you go in there and do it and it's gone. You pick it out and it's over with. But yeah, I thought he did. I thought he did a fabulous job on that, and I think that hole he dug, he can expand that. His problem is that gum sand, because he can't go through them rocks with you know, he's only going to have good pay dirt, basically 6 inches to 8 inches foot above them rocks, and so that means he's going to have to go lateral, and he's got all that overburden to get with. But
see, that was something that maybe you can explain why he did that. When he was down at the river and he saw where that was coming in, why didn't he just dig from there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Go up to the top and then come back down to it. I didn't understand that part.
That sort of got me, and I don't know what was in his mind there. Once he's done what he's done, I can see some beauty of it, because now he could fill that with water and actually start dredging that out.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
And he could start dredging that hole out, and maybe that's his thought, that he wanted to. That would be my reason for doing it that way. Is I got this big hole up on top, and I got all this overburden, and I got all these rocks, and I can't dig it, and I don't want to work it, so I'll fill that hole up with water, and I'll have my sluice outside. It's not floating for now, but I'll have it out like a high banker, and I'm gonna suck all that out and recirculate it right back in.
Dry land dredging.
And then I'm gonna work my way out, and I'm also going to be able to dig down into that rock as far as it goes to bedrock, and I may be able to, that would be my reasoning for doing that. What his reasoning is, I have not met him or talked to him about it, but that would be my only reason why I would do that is that. And he did his test pan, so he knew there was gold there. So that made some sense to me. I can buy that.
Sure. Yeah. I just thought because he was so hungry and everything at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why he was expending so much energy to get up there and then dig back down. When in my mind, if I would have saw that channel where it was coming in and saw the gravel, I would start there and maybe work back instead of going up and then down.
Just think of all the energy he had after he shot that deer, though.
Right. Well, and then David Bogan's got another question.
Sure.
He wants to know, what would you do different if you had to do it again?
Well, I can tell that real quick. I would, I pack.
Bring help.
Food. Food would be the big thing.
Food, more protein.
I would, I carried Mountain House, 2 gallons of Mountain House. And God, dog, what did I carry? I called spaghetti and meatballs. I would find gallons of dried meats. I carried rice. I carried 2 cases of ramen noodles. I would have probably taken, found some way that I could seal odor-free a whole gallon of bacon grease. And then every time I had that, because you can't pack enough food for 42 days. I don't care what you talk.
Right.
So you're going to have that rice and all that stuff that I had. That was important. But those 2 cans of Mountain House, I would have had 1 can of that in some way where I could take a tablespoon of lard, pure lard bacon grease, and mix it with my rice and my noodles.
And
And then now that I would have explored fishing a little better. Those streams were not, I didn't find fish until the 2 days before I was gone. Those streams, there was no fish. And 2 days before I left, I saw a little fish, a little rainbow trout about 3 inches long in the creek. And I said, well, by God, dog, that's the only fish I ever saw. I said, there are fish here. And so I followed that stream for about 3 miles. And I come into this huge, huge swamp with water that was 8-10 foot deep right as it come out of this big swamp. It's like a big lake that was just all covered with vegetation. And so those little fish have to be big fish. So I would have been able to catch fish in there. And I would have had protein. So if I would have done something different, if I was to do that again or something like that, I would take streams that I have, and I would have just walked them until I found myself a source of protein. And so there I was. I had a source of protein, and I didn't know it. Now some of the. Go ahead.
What was like priority for you going into there? I mean, when you think of the things that you need to, what was your priorities as far as
one of the priorities I had, and I couldn't understand why Boyce and especially didn't think this, is I had 2 boxes of Strike Anywhere matches, and I broke them up into 3 bags apiece with a striker in a Ziploc bags, and I had 12 Bic lighters all in separate bags, and I had a magnesium stick.
Heck yeah!
I'm gonna
have a fire.
I am going to have fire no matter what.
Right.
And,
I mean, it's okay. You know, it's okay if you're out in the backwoods to go ahead and use a lighter.
Hey,
as far as I'm concerned,
sure.
I mean, I'm sure back in the day when those things didn't exist, had they existed, they would have used them too.
Sure.
You know, so
but and that's one of the things I get with Boyce, why he built fire. He had a hard time building fire. So once he had fire, he's going to be like the old Indians and old people that had they had a firekeeper that was in charge of making sure the fire never died.
Right.
And so he made sure that he had fire across the river. He made, that was smart because he didn't have matches. And I bet you he wished he had. That was rainforest. Everything was wet out there.
Couple
it was hard to
lighters, rod, several means.
So that was I wanted that, and then I wanted to carry as much food as I could in dry foods and all that. And I wanted priority. I wanted my memory foam mattress and my wood stove. Fire starter, memory foam mattress, the wood stove, and a good sleeping bag.
David wants to know how far you had to hike in with your gear.
I only had to hike in when I take all of my hiking and all, probably a little less than a mile. With all of it. It was further than that because, like I said, once I got in and they left me, that was my plan all along, is that, I got to carry this in. I have to carry in what I can carry in. But once I'm in, I don't have to carry it all the way. I can go and hunt down a spot and then piss at it.
Right.
But I have to carry it in. So that was it.
That was one of the stipulations you had. Whatever you could only take what you could carry in.
That's all I could take is what I could carry in. They had a thing for Ben and them where they had to make a couple of trips in. Apparently to bring in their high bankers. And see, my deal about high bankers and equipment is that it didn't make sense for me to bring in equipment without knowing first if there's gold there.
Right.
So, we talked about that. You can have all the equipment in the world, but if you don't have gold, it's a waste of time, waste of effort. So my whole premises was different than theirs. They wanted high bankers. They're assuming they're going to find gold, I guess. I don't know. I wanted to make sure there was enough gold to justify coming back with equipment.
Right.
And I found that, and I had a real different situation than those other guys. There was a riparian, what do they call it? Riparian. The government of Canada was trying to restore that area. Back in the 1800s, the Chinese had destroyed, with hydrobanking, destroyed that place like you couldn't believe. I could not take a pan and put it in the creek and take just water out and put that water back in the creek. So I could not go and take pan. I couldn't even snipe. I could not put anything. Wow. I can pump water out. I could take but I can't put that water back in, even if I took that water out and say I took my canteen and filled it up with water, I could not pour it back into the stream. That's
there's some states down here too that are kind of like that. You can pump out of it, but you can't let your water go back in.
No silt, no nothing.
Right.
My biggest problem, I spent 3 weeks looking for a place that I could pan. There's no place to pan. And the lake, I was up high ground, frozen ice. And I could have panned in there, but it wasn't near any gold. I couldn't find any gold there. I tried it. So I found that old and that little bed there is an ancient stream bed. I found some gold there. Golly dog! And there was about 200 yards of swamp going back into the creek, which made it legal. So I can work there all I want. I could go in there with with high bankers and pumps, because I might need to pump water 200 feet, but I can do that.
Right.
Because I can pump it into that little stream and keep that going, and then I can pump that into my high banker. So I don't know about the laws. I found one place there that I would do like where I'm talking about Ben, that I would like to flood and use a dredge. But I don't know if I could legally do that. I haven't found out yet if I can.
So where you guys were at, that was that public land? Was it park land?
My understanding is where we had is the production company, best I understand, made deals with the people that own the claims.
Oh, so you were on claimed property.
I was on something that somebody already has a claim on.
Ah, and okay.
And,
so in other words, they must have gotten some kind of permission.
Kind of, yeah.
They made some kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's.
So you didn't have to get any kind of permits or anything. You didn't have to have a.
I don't know what the production company had to do to get me in there. I know I had to get a work visa from the Canadian government.
All right.
And,
that was considered. Yeah. I guess that would be a job, wouldn't it?
I had to get the hunting and fishing license for hunting for small game. I had to get that. I had a lot of stuff I had to do. As far as where I was, if I had to go back to that spot, I have no idea how to get there. They dropped me off. They dropped me off out in nowhere land. I don't know. I'm hearing that they're saying that I was around the corner from a convenience store, but I don't believe that. Maybe Ben and Voice were, but where I was walking around. I didn't have to stay on this claim area because I can hunt and fish anywhere, because I had to prospect on this claim area. And I understand the guy that had that claim was wanting to find out where the gold was.
Oh,
I guess you
were doing his job for him.
I was prospecting for. I think that's part of the. I'm not sure of that. I could be all bullshit about it because I never met him. I don't know, but I know that I walked for many, many miles, and we have what's called backcountry trails in Alaska that are just trails go out that you can spend 10 days on them, sort of like the Appalachian Trail or something like that. Well, they had I came across a trail like that, and it said Bakerfield, 18 miles.
Huh.
Or 18 kilometers. I can't remember. I was miles. It was 18 kilometers. That'd be what, about 9 miles, 12 miles, something like that. So I did see that, and it was a safety net for me that I knew that I could walk that in a day's time if I had to.
Right.
So my safety, I saw that, and it gave me a degree of stuff. I know that some of the people that were commenting were sitting there saying, "You have a road a half a mile away." I said, "That's bullshit." Maybe somebody did, but I didn't. I wish there was. I would have damn sure gone in and got some bacon. Because if it didn't happen on film, it didn't happen.
Bakerville, BC, I believe that's in the Caribou mining district.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I believe Darcy Cooper on YouTube is from up that way.
Yeah, well, I do know that there was a lot of people in Quesnel there that did not like the show. Really upset about the show and something about the legends and all that. But I know that I have contact with, and there's all the miners in Quesnel area are wanting me to come down and meet with them. They want to take me out to their claims. They for some reason they liked me.
Well, right on.
And they liked me, and they wanted to get to meet me, and they thought what I did was honest, and they may not have liked the idea that we talking about the canyon being this that, but that's how legends are formed.
Right.
You know, legends all start off with something, and then it becomes a legend. You know, so
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, and the show can't sell the show if it doesn't have something to sell.
Right,
It's got to have
right,
something.
right.
It'd be boring as hell if all you showed is boys running that high bunker for 42 days.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Right.
Well,
Right.
you know, like we talked about before, out of all the gold shows, it was my favorite one. I liked it. I thought it put us in a better light and was more realistic to the prospector and small scale miner side of things instead of moving mountains of material, you know.
That's right.
Right. Showed what we really do.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It shows what we really do. And if we go back, I hope there's a second season. We go back. I plan on. I've got a friend in Whitehorse that's head of the mining district over there, gold mining district, and talk to him. And I'm gonna drive down if we go do another one. I'm gonna drive down and stop in Whitehorse, go visit with him, to make sure I have all the P's and Q's about my area there. Can I dredge in a closed water system?
Right.
That's the question I want to have, because you got. I'm all for the government doing what they're doing. You know, that water there was so crystal clear. It was so beautiful. It was unreal. And when it would rain, it would turn into pure mud. Right. And then 2 days later, it'd be clear again.
Right.
So that's from all that damage that was done upstream with all the high banking, all the hydro banking back in the 1800s. So I can understand now in Quinella down below, they're drinking this water.
Right,
and
right.
if you had mining like it was back then, they would have mud all year round down there.
Well,
and
like, yeah, I hear you. Like Sacramento Valley in the 1800s, before the turn of the century, they made hydraulic mining illegal because it was clogging up all the rivers down below and creating havoc in the flatland of the big valley in Cali.
Yeah.
From all the hydraulicing and the mother lode and whatnot. So I can imagine.
And so I'm all for the rules I had. I'm all for them. I can understand why they're trying to. We had the same thing here with the Russian River, with the fishery. When you got people on the bank fishing, they destroy the bank. And you destroy the bank and you destroy the fishery, because we're talking about Snowmelt River. There's absolutely sterile water. There's no life in there except for the death of the salmon that give life to the stream when they die and they ferment, and all the little microorganisms and all that gives life to it. Well, if you don't have any banks and it's all dead, and when I first got here 21 years ago, the Russian River was almost dead, and they came in and they built these platforms that you can see through, metal grates, and where they go right into the stream. You're not allowed to step foot on the ground. You got to walk down these things into the creek, and you walk in the creek. I'm all for that. It's plush now. It's a plush river. It's wild. We've restored it. It's an awesome place to be now. We won't never have to worry about salmon in the Russian River unless we have some kind of spill down that kills the run. But it's pristine again. And they're wanting to do that, and they're trying to do that in Canada, and it's making great progress. And I'm all for that. Let's get the pristine back. But there is a way, and we showed, and I was able to show, there is a way to still mine for gold there and keep pristine, and we can do that. But we don't want to go in there and I have no problem going in there if we can have a closed water dredge. You're dredging that out and you're putting it right back in. You're just taking the gold out.
It's just a recycling setup.
It's recycling the water back in. That water will settle out in a year's time.
Right.
Less than that.
Less than that. And
that was one of the things that I didn't like about some of the other gold shows, is they don't talk about the reclamation that we as small scale miners actually do on a daily basis when we're out there. So you know, and that's kind of what I liked about your show, was that nobody was destroying anything, and anything that they did, it was taken care of. It was put back. You could see that. You could, you know. So yeah, I don't. You know, people don't. And that's one of the things that we teach when we do the gold painting for the Boy Scouts, is how much we do clean up the creeks, how much we do clean up the environment at the same time, pulling, you know, the gold out, you know, and not just gold, but, you know, we show them all the trash that we pull out of the creeks, and you know, it's part of what we do.
Yeah, and it's important.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very important. It's important that we let people know that too. Yeah. Because they don't know that. They don't see it. Yeah. They watch these shows and don't understand. First of all, they don't understand that what they're watching is all edited video that's just made to tell a certain story, you know, and then they don't show all that's involved in reclaiming, you know. Right. So.
And we've got to keep that going, like we do the fisheries and the hunting and the fishing. If we don't do it, you know, I told you yesterday, I think I talked about George that taught me everything I know about gold mining.
Right.
Yeah.
And he mined for 50 years, supported his family for 50 years up here on a little mine that he could only mine 2 or 3 months a year. And he worked 2 hours a day. His pump would run out of gas in 2 hours. He worked a high banking system and a dredge system. And once his pump ran out of gas, he would not fill it up again till the next day. And you'd go and you'd visit with him. And I love to go out there with him. George would sit there and he'd walk along and he'd say, in 1976, I found a vein of gold right here and I covered it up. And then I planted this trees and these trees and this trees and this and this. And he'd walk on and said, in 1982, I found a vein of gold here and I covered it up and I planted these trees and these trees, this trees. When you walk on his claim, you could not see any evidence of mining except for where he was mining right then.
Right, because he would reclaim it. He would
reclaimed everything.
Right,
he'd mine for 2 hours, and he'd mine for 2 hours every day and reclaim for 6-8 every day, and he supported his family. Come on, now that's the guy that taught me, and he taught me. He's the one that loved what I'm doing here with the public, with this dirt that I do. He's the one that taught me, and he says, that is fantastic. You're teaching people about dirt. You're doing it real, with real raw gravel. And he said this, and he was so excited about us doing that, that it was unreal. And he's just one of those kind of guys. He says, you're not hurting anything teaching this way, and you're mining the place without hurting anything. You're not hurting any environment, and everybody gets to mine your mind.
Right.
And,
well, you know, that brings me back to, didn't you say that you have a bag a month club or something that you do?
I do. And I got a man that's been doing this every month automatically on PayPal. All I have to do is put you a subscription there, and automatically, actually, I'm not going to tell you how much he buys, but he's been doing this since 2004 every month. It automatically, his money comes out of his PayPal, goes into my PayPal. I get an email that, John, you just received money from, I'm going to call him Joe. His name is something else. Joe. And I turn around and I say, oh, there's Joe. I package up his package and I mail it to him. And what they do as a family, they have a day of the month that they have after dinner. And he says they rush through dinner because everybody just wants to get out. They go out in the backyard, and they all, as a family, work through and have fun working through this pay dirt. And he says, and they have a blast of fun. And he says, and they have a byproduct is the gold. He's been doing this since 2004. He tells me, he says, John, sometimes we make a whole bunch, and sometimes we don't find as much. But he says, on the average, we find some, and he talks about, I forget what the average was, he told me, but it's a nice average, way over 50% of his money. He said, but that's not what's important. We've had fun. He says, I've got two-ounce vials sitting everywhere just full of gold. He says, and we got a huge profit. He said we started it when it was $300 an ounce. In 2004, it was $300 an ounce. And he says, now it's $1,200. He says, we've got such a profit that it's like and he says, we have fun. We don't think about the gold, but there is sitting there where we have 2-3 times more money than what we've spent. He says, it's an investment. He says, and we do it and we said, have fun. We have fun and we have this investment. He says, when I was doing it, it was $300 an ounce. I couldn't afford it. I still can't afford it. It's just, but I do this little bit every time. He says, if we take the same thing, 300 to where it is now, 14 years from now, gold is going to be 4,800 an ounce. It'll be the same percentage as we've had from 300 to where we are now.
Huh.
And he says, he keeps on doing it. He said, when gold was hit 2,000 for a while, he kept on doing it. He said, it'll come back to 2,000. It'll come back
at some point.
Yeah. He said, it'll come back to 4,000. So he keeps doing it. It's a systematic thing. And what I really need to have about 20, 30 more people doing this, because that would allow me to live my life more free than I'm doing, where I'd have a steady income in the winter and I wouldn't have to drive that friggin' cab.
Yeah. So what? Okay. Right.
I could come and visit you guys that you're sending me these emails. You want me to come visit? I could go visit those guys in Quesnel and go see all their mines, and we could enjoy and have fun together. And I could go to the gold shows. I could go to this, but I got to make a way to live the winter.
Oh, right. I hear you. So
what kind of price point are you looking at for this month?
We can do anything you want to do from probably feasible. 25, 101 is what some do, but any amount. You tell me your budget, and we'll put the product together that you want. We'll custom make it at your budget. If you want to do $25 a month, or $100 a month, or $70 a month, you tell me what you want. We'll sit down and make a deal. We'll make a deal of the price. I'll put a subscription together, and you go to PayPal and you okay that subscription. And the beauty part of it is, say you lose your job 3 months from now, and you can't do it anymore. You just go to PayPal. It takes you 5 seconds. You go over there, your subscriptions, click cancel, and it's done.
Cool.
You don't have to call me even. You just sit there and something happens that you have a death or you have some catastrophic thing that all of a sudden we got to put our savings account on hold. Just go cancel it.
Right.
Yeah.
Start back up again.
Yeah.
Later.
In the meantime, you can have, people in Texas, places don't have it. It gives them an opportunity to play with dirt. You can do it with raw gravel. You can do it with concentrates. You can do it with gemstones. You can do it with anything I have. And you set down what you want to do. In fact, this one guy that's been doing it 2004 just sent me an email of what he wants to do from now until 2018. He's increasing his thing. And he said, what can we do? And we sat down and we decided what we were going to do for that money, and new subscription.
Ed posted a link on here to that, but if you want
to his product page on his website and to the eBay store.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my website sucks so bad. I need to go in there and work at something fierce. It just sucks like big time. So
at least you're using the technology we have available to us out there. Self-promoting yourself and whatnot, to be able to help live the lifestyle you do.
Yeah. I made that website and I looked at it and I need to rechange it and I need to do a lot of things. And that's one of the things I want to do in the next couple of weeks is work on that. But call me, text me, email me, Facebook friend me, tell me what you want to do. And by God, we'll do it. And when the subscription comes out, it actually tells me when I get my email, Joe just bought this from you. And I don't have to remember what Joe's subscription was.
Right.
It tells me every month. And so I turn around and I put that package together and I ship it to him. How many pounds he wants, how much this he wants. Does he want concentrates or gravel?
Right.
Does he want the gemstone package? Does he want, everybody's got a different reason that they want to do something. And the main thing is to have fun, and then put that's better than that's better than your 10, what do you call those retirement packages that you do?
401ks.
401ks. This is better than a 401k.
Yeah, oh yeah, the government will steal that from you anyway.
Yeah, they can't steal this gold. He's sitting there with just a dozen 2-ounce vials. Jeez, think how much money that is, and he's been doing it since 2004. That's 14 years.
Right.
He's got more money sitting there than most people retire with.
Well, hopefully we'll get you some new customers. I have your links.
Sure.
I have your links down below, down in the description area. So,
please, folks, go ahead and subscribe from me. Let me be free enough to come and visit you and go to your mine. Let's go ahead.
Like I said, I'm ordering that gem package that you got here next month when I get my my check.
Yeah.
You know, so like I said, my wife saw it. My wife saw that picture of that pan with all them gemstones, and I'm looking at the gold. She's looking at the rocks.
Yeah, and see, this is the thing. It's a family thing, and if you have the fun, that's. I had a guy who's dead now that bought every day a subscription every day. He was on dialysis, and he wanted a lot of more gems in the gold. But what he would do, he was down in the South. And he had to go to dialysis, and he was miserable. He would take, he'd have 2 packages a day come, and the neighborhood kids would come and join him out on the driveway, and they'd go through that dirt together. And he had a life, and then he had me send him so many polished stones. So when he'd go to the hospital, he'd carry those polished stones, and the nurses see him coming. Oh, what do you got for me? And he'd give them stones away, and he had a life.
Yeah, it was a life. It was something to look forward to. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. And he's dead now, but he had a life while it could last.
Right.
He had the neighborhood kids out there, and he had the nurses loving to see him, and in the miserable position he had. It made him something to live. So there's all kinds of reasons to do it. Order something if you like it. Let's figure out something that works for you and your family, that will give you a life, or give you something to go that fits your budget, and it be done automatic where I don't have to worry about this stuff, and it just automatically be shipped. I do have a lady that does all my shipping, and she's and it helps her because she's they live on 80 acres, and she raises goats and whatever, and does stuff, and she homeschools her kids, and she wants some way that she can help her husband make it, who's out working to support him. Some way she can make $200-300 a month extra packaging, and so she does my packaging, and she's treating me so well. What I pay her, if I was to have to pay normal, I would have to pay 3 times that to get the same work done for normal people you get, but she's doing that to help her husband.
Yeah, a little supplement. Yeah, a little supplement.
It just supplement, and then when they have a catastrophic thing, I was coming into town, and she says, "Oh man," she called me. I said, "Well, I'm coming. Where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm coming to town." She said, "We're broke down with brake job at the Midas." And said, "Man, we sure could use some money to and just take it out of what I." So I said, "I'll be right there." And I was a few minutes away. I pulled in, paid their bill, and she worked for me for free for a month or 2 until she could pay that. But she helped her husband.
Right.
So not only are you helping me be able to go out and see you guys, you help her out too.
Oh yeah, our buddy Dennis Dayton says he's got a great place for you to come to in Indiana.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, if you want to, another way you can help me out is if you know you're coming to Alaska this next summer and you want to go on that day trip with me, I'm making a deal. It's normally $289. But if you buy it between now and the first of the year, I'll give it to you for $200, and you don't have to tell me the dates until you 30 days before you come.
Ah,
Wow.
How's that for a deal?
sounds like a deal.
You
Sounds
know
like a
you're
good
coming.
deal.
You just don't know what day.
Yeah, right, right. I know
And
I'm going.
So I'm going, and I'm going to be there in June of next year, July next year, but I haven't put the dates. We haven't bought the thing. We don't know what day we're going to do this and that. We're organizing it, but we want to go on your trip. I'm going to save you $90
Wow, good deal.
to book
There you
it
go,
between
guys.
now and then, and you don't have to tell me what day it's going to be until 30 days before.
So you do need at least 30-day notice.
I need 30 days, and in 30 days before, my guarantee, if you cancel in 30 days, 30 days, I'll give you your money back.
Cool.
So it's a
Very cool.
no-brainer. If you know you're coming, and
Right.
you want to do my trip, that'll help me out. If four of
Yeah.
you want to go, there's me $800 that I can put in gasoline and come and see you over there, and we go mining. And I don't have to go slave in a cab.
Yeah, I drove a cab in Houston.
Well,
That was not fun.
no, it's unhealthy.
No, yeah, that too.
I'm
It's
sure
unhealthy.
you deal with a lot of rude people just trying.
Yeah. Yeah. But if I had $800, that'd give me a chance, say 4 people and they did that, that'd give me $800 to work with, that I can go and stop in Quesnel and visit with them for 30 days. And I can go, and all the people I'm going to find out that want me to come visit them, I'll come visit you. That gives me a life. It gives you a life. It gives me something to do. And at the same time, when you get down here, I'll give you an event like you can go and look at that video, that tree that fell down, and we'll go mine that.
Oh, I'd love to go mine that. That was awesome. That was just
We'll
so
go
awesome.
mine that. It's a raft trip to get to it, and we'll go in there. We'll go mine that. I have all the gear, the equipment, the rafting. You'll raft down the river. And then it's a 2-hour raft. I'll furnish your lunch. I'll furnish your gear. I'll furnish everything. You just show up at 9 o'clock in the morning and 8:30 in the morning, because we got to gear up, and we'll get on the rafts, and we'll go down to our rafting. We'll get out and we'll bushwhack down in there. I'll carry your lunch. I'll carry your water. I'll provide your lunch, your water, all that's for $200.
Wow.
Hey, let me stop you for a second. Ed,
Sure.
Can you explain to people how to get onto the chat?
How to what?
Get onto the chat.
Onto
People
the
are
chat.
watching, but they don't know how to get on the chat. I'm not sure how to explain it to them.
Onto the chat.
Yeah, they're watching and listening on YouTube, but they can't figure out how to get onto the chat.
The chat
They'll see the
should be
chat.
right next to it or below it.
Well, there's no, wait.
Yep.
Okay, right above, I got it. Right above, there's on the right-hand side, there's a list of videos that are available. Right up above that is there's a bar up there that says Show Chat.
Show
Click
chat,
on that.
hide chat, yeah.
Yeah, click on that and
There's
it
an
should
active
open up.
chat, because you have to type to participate for me to
Right.
bring up a list for when John does the giveaway when we talked about it last night. So, but,
Oh, that's right. I'm going to give away a package, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, that's what you said.
Yeah, I did say that.
Yes, you did.
And I give away too much stuff, but I'm always giving away new GPAA people and this and that and whatever. But my hope is that I give enough away that like this, if I could come up with a few extra $1,000, I'd be on the road tomorrow night.
well, I hope this bit of generosity from you and being such a great guest will come back to you sevenfold.
Well, I pray that it does. If it doesn't, it'll be what I'll live my life. But if all these people are wanting me to come visit them, I'd love to come visit them.
Well, I got a guy out here in the chat room who says, sounds like I'm going to Alaska next year. and I'll tell you what, he's the guy that would go.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I do have the credit card machines and all that stuff. So yeah, you can charge it and pay it off in the next 3 years.
That must have been devastating. Yep.
Yeah.
All I need you to do is when we get through is just give me a phone call, and oh, by the way, when I write all your information down, if I'm not by the machine, just to give you an idea of how I do business, I write it on a piece of paper, and as soon as I run the credit card through, I go outside with one of my big lighters and I burn it.
Oh, you get rid of that piece of paper.
I burn that piece of paper. It will never get into the hands of somebody besides me. And once I've run it through, it'll never be able to do me again unless you give it to me again. People call me with orders and pay it with a credit card every month. And every month they got to give me the credit card information because I will not keep it.
And they go, didn't I give it to you last month? Yeah, but I don't keep it.
I don't keep it. I burn it. That's the best way to get rid of information is burn it.
No one could steal their information or anything, just burn it.
I burn it, and I can, as soon as you get off the phone, I can get on my cell phone and run the card, and I can burn it within minutes.
All right.
So that's just a promise that I do, and it's just something I do, and I've never been burned on it, and I'm not planning to burn anyone. But I would love to know that I got into the next year knowing that I got 150 people ready to go out there on that ancient stream bed with me, and maybe even fit some that want to go explore up that a bit too, and find something new.
I bet.
You know, we go over there. We already know there's some at this tree. Let's wonder what's up here another half a mile.
Yeah, because you don't want the gold there anymore, anyways, right? You want to go find the other spot.
I do, but if you want to go do it, you can go and do it yourself. But in that area, that street, there's a whole bunch of history in that area. It burned down in 1902. So you've got big trees telling you what's happened there. Trees that survived the fire that started since the fire. Tells you what was going on. It tells you a lot. I show that too, how big trees tell me there was a stream bed here. You know, because the big trees aren't going to be growing in the stream bed.
Right. They're
going to be growing in the banks. Now that's different. Now that's because we had a fire in 1902, and so the ones that are on the banks are the ones that survived. Some of them survived the fire. So, but anyhow, that's my thing. And if you have any problem with my website, call me. Facebook, call me, do my Facebook, text me, message me on Facebook. I'll get with it and answer you, and I can send you an invoice on PayPal at any time. I've done a lot of that. All I need is your email address on Facebook, and when I do it, I describe what you're buying too. So you have anytime you do anything with PayPal, you got complete protection. If you don't get it, don't like it, think I cheated you, you call PayPal, and you know what PayPal will do? They'll immediately take that money away from me. Instantly. As soon as you make a dispute.
Well, you don't want to tell the world that, John.
Yeah, I do. That's what eBay gives that guarantee. People are scared to use their credit card or PayPal.
Well, PayPal, you don't want people doing it fraudulently. But
no,
then
I'm saying,
again,
but if
you use
I'm just saying that you don't have to worry about your being screwed by buying from me.
Yeah, you use tracking numbers, though. You track it, though, so you have some protection.
I track everything, and when you give me your email, it automatically has a tracking number. So you can track everything. I'm protected there. You're protected. You don't have to worry about someone stealing your credit card. PayPal will protect you if you find out that I'm lied to you about any product. It's not like I described. You can sit there and I'll tell you what I do. If you call me up and said, this isn't what I want, I usually tell you, here's your money back, keep the product, and don't come back.
Well, I saw the rating on
business.
your YouTube store, and your rating on your handle was it was rather high. So
yeah, my ratings on everything is, I think 4.8 is the worst I've got. And that guy said he enjoyed it. But he just doesn't give 5, that's all.
Right.
He enjoyed it, he just wasn't happy.
Well, no, he said it was a fabulous trip. He enjoyed it, recommended it to everyone, and gave me a 4.
Huh.
There are some people that never give a 5.
Right.
And so, you know, when you read the only negative I have on it, read it, you sit there, he had a great time, enjoyed it, and recommends it. I said, okay. That's all right. And I think I had the same thing on TripAdvisor, a good rating. People that sit there and say, oh, we thought it was a tourist trap, and we went and did it, and it's not. Anyhow, I try to do right, and I thank you for letting me promote myself on this show. I wasn't planning on. I was going to talk about stuff, but I thank you for it, because I live a life I live.
It's been our pleasure.
And
to have you on, listen to some of your stories and your crazy ideas, and you know. Plus, that's, you know, we just enjoy talking to people. And when I saw you on the show, I thought, man, that's a guy I'd like to meet. You know, maybe someday. And then right away, I found you on Facebook, so I friended you and tried to get you to get over to Go Prospector space, because that's a spot where we would be able to have some, you know, interaction live, and with your knowledge and stuff, you'd be able to answer some of the newbie questions that happen on that site all the time, you know. So I hope you at least got over there to check it out.
No, I do have it here on my list of things to do, and I am going to join it this week. So
that would be awesome.
Today I had a few fires I put out, and some shipping to do, and whatever, because my shipping ladies went down. She had a death in her family, and she's down in the lower 48, and they're driving back up right now. Yesterday they were in Montana, so I've been having to do all the shipping, and that takes priority. If you buy from me, I'm going to get it shipped.
That does take priority. Make sure that people that do buy your product are satisfied, and they get it in a timely fashion. You know, that's an important thing.
They want to get it within the next 10 days, not next month.
Right.
You know, and it takes 5 to 10 days shipping from Alaska anyhow. So even with priority, especially in the winter, sometimes in the winter there's not enough planes flying, and they actually take mail and put it on a barge going to Tacoma. So it doesn't happen often, but every now and then mail goes south on a barge.
Every once in a while.
Right.
And sometimes the pass gets done, and the truck can't get down to Cooper Landing and pick up our mail for 3 days. Get an avalanche or something, and whatever, and they can't even come and get it. And there's no plane delivery to Cooper Landing. We got a gravel runway here for a small plane, but it's a remote area. So, but that's my priority. So I do have it. It's sitting right here. Go Prospectors. It's right here by Marvin 61 ToledoJess at AOL.com. Go Prospectors. Space.com.
Yeah, actually,
go.
the owner of Gold Prospector Space and Prospectors Radio was in our audience earlier.
Oh,
And one of the co-hosts of Prospectors Radio
Is in the audience.
is in the audience right now. Our good personal friend Dennis Dayton. You never know, they might ask you to be on their radio show also.
yeah. Well,
But,
I would love it. When I don't know if y'all saw Wild West Alaska back when it was on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was on 3 episodes of that show.
Oh, you were.
And, yeah, and when they put 6 cameras in front of me and wired me for sound, I became a ham, and I knew what I wanted to do when I grew up. So I don't get a bit nervous at all. Like Ed was nervous about getting started. I don't get a bit nervous. When you get this microphone on me, I become a ham.
Oh, I can understand that. It's, before every show, I get a little, I get a little nervous. Yeah. I want to put on a good production. I want to produce
you bet.
a good
I was just
product.
picking on you.
Well, yeah, you got all those things to worry about. Me, I just come on, I'm just waiting, let them take care of all this stuff, and I just sit and talk with you, Well,
so I have to pick on you a little bit, Ed.
There you go. There you go.
But I enjoyed that on Wild West Alaska. That was a fun show too, and I've been working ever since to try to get a show going, and I hope Discovery will redo this one, because where the show left off is perfect for Prospector John's style of mining. I already planned 7 episodes, so 7 seasons.
Wow. You're in for the long haul, aren't you?
Oh yeah, I can make 7 seasons. And where that left off, me covering that up, oh my God, Prospector John style, it's just be unreal. And if Discovery doesn't pick it up, they've lost it. They've done screwed up big time.
Let's pick a winner let's pick a winner real quick. Why we still I know it's getting late here on the East Coast, so we've lost a few of our audience, but
it drove me crazy.
Let's get this out of the way. And
all right.
Yes, Ken Flackner.
Well,
everybody likes
all that Kent Flackler. He ain't on the list, I don't think.
Yeah, he's picking on us.
Oh yeah, that's. He shouldn't though. We could have ammo on him too.
So let me ask you this while we're still here on live and everything.
Well, talk to him while I choose.
Go ahead. Do you try any of the new products that come out, new mats, any of that stuff, like Gold Hog or any of that, equipment? You ever try any of that stuff?
No, I really don't. I build my own sluice boxes, and
right.
I didn't even get to talk about the sluice box. I built a new sluice box that I dreamed up while I was on the show. And
right, that's right.
I'm going to call it my urban miner. People in cities and whatever, and they go out in the countryside, go fish or go pan or whatever. Maybe they're going out just for countryside, and they see a stream or they see something and they say, hey, I wonder if there's gold there. And they stop and get a 5-gallon bucket full, and they go home, and this urban miner hooks up to your water hose, and you can prospect it out and prospecting home, and the water will go back into another bucket. You just put it where it goes in the bucket, overflows on your yard. Your gravel, you can take it in you can do whatever you want with the gravel that's run through, and you can put it on your neighbor's yard, or you can, if you don't like him, and you can put it in your gravel driveway. We have gravel driveways, so it's easy for us to discard the gravel.
I'm making a riverbed garden.
Well, we got a winner, and Dan Zoller.
Dan Zoller.
How's that spelled?
Zoller.
Zoller. Yes, sir. Dan Zoller. He's
Zoller.
on Zoller.
Zoller. And you'll text me his message and stuff?
Well,
or somehow?
Dan's
His
on
address?
Facebook. So, Dan, head over to Facebook. The link to John's profile is down below in the descriptions. And send him a message, your address, and everything he needs to know. Get your pay dirt. That way I don't see it. No one sees it but John.
Yep. I just need you. Hey, Dan, if you're still there, if you're listening, just send me your address on Facebook or some way. Get that address to me, and I'll get that shipped out this week.
There you go. Congratulations, Dan.
Congratulations,
Excellent,
Dan.
Congratulations,
Dan.
Right on. We want to see a video.
Okay, now he
on
wants
it.
to know. He wants to know
Dan,
what he won.
Dan, let me ask you one other thing too. I know you can't answer it, but on the thing you can answer it. If you got family, if you want the gemstones, if you want me to do that, or you want to just be, tell me what sort of you would. If you got a family or whatever is your interest as a family, I can custom make it a little bit too.
In other words, do you just want gold, or you want gold and gemstones, or you just want some dirt with no gold and just
I'm sure Dan
maybe
wants
just some
the
elastic
gold.
dirt with nothing in it.
Never know. It's the luck of the draw or the luck of the shovel load, eh?
Yeah, I've never had anyone not find it, so that's a good thing.
Yep, he's contacting you now.
Yeah,
all right, good.
via
I can't.
On Facebook.
All right, good. Well, congratulations, Dan. I hope
Excellent,
you enjoy.
Dan.
And then,
we
make sure
want
you
to
post
see
some
a
of those
video.
pictures, Dan.
We
Show us what
want
you get.
pictures on your Facebook, video on your YouTube channel.
Everything. We want it all.
Pardon me. Yes, want it all.
And then send me the gold. No.
And then send me the gold.
Then you can donate to Take a Vet Prospecting Project.
There you go. There you
go.
Yeah, that's basically on that. Basically, that works out. If I go at $200, that means you buy 3 and you get 1 free. Is that what that works out to? 3, 9, 4, 8. Oh no, you don't even have to buy 3. Buy 2.5, get 1. Well, whatever. It's better than buying 3, get 1 free on the regular price. Are you there? Oh, I just got a friend request from Dan Zoller.
Oh
yeah, I missed what you were saying.
Right.
I just got a friend request from Dan. So Dan, I can't see any of it until we get through with the show, and I'll talk to you as soon as we get off the show. If you're listening. But I did get a pop-up saying you did send a friend request.
Right.
So it'll be there.
He just did that.
I'm scared to touch anything on my computer because when I did that, they lost me. I'm scared to touch anything.
I was thinking, no, I was looking so forward to the show with no mess ups, and
yeah.
Then
I had to go and request him to be in my contacts.
Yeah, you did that. I went and accepted it, lost everything.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we got it back. So far, we're a show breaker in time, too. We're heading on 3 hours.
Oh, wow. Well, you made a mistake asking me to do it.
I guess.
No. It's been a great time, John. No mistake at all. No mistake at all.
It's been a pleasure to do that.
Definitely.
I hope we get to talk more often than just on here, just
yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting the chats.
Did I just hear a duck?
Yeah.
I heard a duck too. What was
That's
that?
my phone.
Barb calling you?
No, Patrick Moore is texting me pictures of his gold he got. Once again, teasing me.
Yeah, he's been doing that to me too.
That's why
Patrick
I put
does that
my
all the
phone
time.
in airplane mode during the show.
I usually turn the volume down, but I forgot.
Hey,
Well,
after
if my
all,
phone rang, it would be, you'd hear it. It was I got the theme song we used in Vietnam on my ringtone. Jimi Hendrix Watchtower. All along the Watchtower.
Ah,
right
Well,
on.
somehow I had a feeling that you listened to Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, well, that was our theme song. There's got to be some kind of way out of here.
There's got to be.
Yeah, and there I found a way. I was really I got to thank God on that one. That was there was only in one 5-day battle. There was only 15 of the originals walked off the hill. So that's out of a company. So I'm really blessed to be here.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I say, welcome home, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, without a doubt.
oh, man.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you guys too. As long as there's someone willing to fight for this country, we still have it.
Yeah, that's right. We still still have a country.
Yeah.
As screwed up as it may be, it's still our country.
And it's the best in the world.
Yep.
Yes.
And,
a lot of people don't realize that because they've never been anywhere else.
yeah.
So when you go other countries, you see other places, you realize we don't have it bad at all. Not one
We
bit.
don't.
No, not at all. I've been, well, only foreign country I've been to has been Mexico, but
That's pretty Americanized anymore.
Well, it was many decades ago, so it wasn't
And
quite
we're free to do about anything we want.
Gringo-nized. Yep.
We're free to do anything we want. Free to disagree. Free to agree. We're free to do whatever.
That's right.
Yep. And
we're kind of getting off the subject here.
Yep. Let's get off politics.
As much as I like being nostalgic.
Yeah, I know people want to hear about gold.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
More gold.
I'm looking.
Devil's Canyon.
Let's see what I have here. I'm looking at a little vial here that has about, I'd say about a half ounce of gold in it.
Nice.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I screened this little bit out, and I had, let's see how many I have in there. I got.
Well, here,
1, 2, 3.
let's try an experiment, John. Turn on your video, just you. Turn on your video for a second and show them.
Oh, I got these. Can you see? I don't know if you can see it here, right there.
Yeah.
This is 4 pickers I found out of there that had that were screened over 10 screen or better, and I already poured all the gold, and I guess I can pour it back. It's this little thing. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah,
a little bit.
Can't see it.
Not
You can't
really.
see it. But I was just, a big thing I was saying is I was excited about these 4 pickers I got that are screen 10 or bigger. I got a screen. I screened 10 and 14 and 20, and if it gets over 10, that's pretty nice pieces. But anyhow, now you guys, can everybody see me?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
He says, better get my hat on.
Get your head out. Oh,
I can't put it on any better because I'll screw up the microphone. And that's how I screwed up the microphone earlier. And before we started, is I put this hat on and tried to, it screwed up my microphone, and probably got a short in it. But anyhow, hi guys, good to see you guys. You're welcome to my back room of my store. It's pretty rugged looking, no paneling, no nothing. All my bookwork here, and my pistol here, and rifle here, and another rifle. Well, I shouldn't be saying that. I got rifles and pistols and shotguns in here.
Well, that's security system.
Right.
That's my security system. And in front of me is a little store that I have that's probably 35 foot long by about 14 foot wide. It's my little store. I have wild meat jerkies. I'm all sold out now, and I'm not going to make any more until spring. But I have wild meat jerky and jewelry and gold and gems and fossils. And I got interested in hard rock mining when I was down in Arizona, so I got more and more interested in it. I got some pay dirt back here that's assays out at 4 ounces of gold per 100 pounds. I got another bucket of stuff there. It has turquoise and all kinds of bits and pieces, and actually have a printer over here and a refrigerator. And it's just I live pretty simple. This is where I go and do my work, and then I go into the van, and I'm fixing to close this down. I'm going to winterize it tomorrow. I'm going to shut her down. I may still be back here for business, so if we do anything again online, it'll probably be from my van.
Oh, well, maybe sometimes you could stop by and give us the Wanderer's Report.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, if you're on here and you're interested, Facebook friend me. I will accept all friendships that have a profile. If you friend request me and you have a profile, but don't send me a picture of a naked woman and that's all that's on it.
I get lots of those.
Isn't it pitiful?
Yeah, it's just terrible. Yeah.
And I know you just delete it right away. You don't look at it, do you?
Well, I have to open it up to see what it is. and if you be careful if you ever get a message from Dennis Dayton.
Yeah,
be careful.
Yeah. Be careful of his Facebook Messenger messages.
Oh, okay. Well,
at least those are private.
At least view it privately.
Yeah, okay. But anyhow, if you have an About You page that says a little bit, or you have a little bit of a timeline history, and a few friends and a couple of pictures, I'll probably accept your friendship.
I hear you. I'm the same way.
Yeah, and I'll accept all friendships that do that. So friend me, and I take advantage of modern technology, but if you call me and I don't answer the phone, you may as well not leave a message, because I don't even know how to listen to them. And I don't want to listen. So if you want to, don't even bother. You can try calling again. I do answer my phone if I hear it, but I turn it off quite often. I don't want to hear it. I don't get in it. I don't go texting. If you text me, it may be a day or two before I answer it, but unless it's an order. If you want to chat with me, where we're going back and forth chat, I probably won't do that because I got too much to do. We'll get if it's important, we'll make a phone call. I'll put you on speakerphone, put you in my pocket, and I can keep on doing my work while we're talking.
There you go.
But so I use modern technology, but I don't let it use me.
Well, I got a question for you. Since the show, and you said earlier that you've been on other shows. Since the show, have you had been out in the middle of nowhere, or just been somewhere where you thought you were by yourself, and then all of a sudden have someone come up to you and go, "Prospector John, I've been watching your stuff." Just come up to you and go, "Hey, how you doing?"
Yeah, I haven't done it while I'm out in the wilderness. When I go out in the wilderness, there's nobody there. You're not going to find me.
He's in Alaska after all, Jesse.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so what? Yeah. It is a small world after all.
True.
I do have that happen where I still can go to the grocery store without being seen too much. I'll be honest with you. I called one of my people I buy stuff from, and I said, "I'm Prospector John out of Alaska." "Are you the Prospector John on the TV show?" "Oh, I love you, man." And I said, "Okay." So I guess there are a few people out there that I do get people recognize me on it, and they come in and they'll look at me, and I'm in a restaurant, and they look at me and look at me and look at me, and they'll if I'm wearing my hat, it tends to help a little bit. But if I'm not wearing my hat, they'll look at me. Were you on that show? And I thought that was you. And so and a lot of them say if they hear me talk, they'll recognize me.
Right.
Apparently, I have a distinctive voice.
Apparently I do too. That happened to me at Menards. I was talking to my better half, and a couple aisles down I hear, "Is that Ed in the shed?" And I'm like, yeah. And ended up meeting a viewer, and he's also a fellow YouTuber. And so it's a small world.
It is a small world, and it's getting smaller with this technology. And I think the technology is great as long as you don't let it control you, and you still make those, like what we're doing here. We're talking to each other. We're communicating, and we're talking and whatever, and that's real. Anybody can sit there and type something, type anything, but to open your mouth and express yourself without thinking about what you type something, you look at, you can edit it, but you can't edit it once you've said it.
Right.
So that's real conversation. We're having real conversation here, Ed. And just
absolutely.
That's what Daniel, we're about, keep it real.
Even Daniel says something once in a while.
Often when I do.
Yes.
Hey, Daniel. I love your picture though. That's a quarter size. I think that's a quarter. That's a lot of gold in that picture. How much was that?
I believe that's when I went to a private property, and in 4 hours I got 1.5 grams.
Wow, that's not bad, is it?
No, not for Ohio.
Yeah.
That's like stupendous for Ohio.
Yeah.
Well, that looks like some pretty nice flakes, and might even had a picker or two in there.
Yeah, that was a good day. That's one I was very happy when I came home.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's nice. If we can find stuff like that and have fun doing it, that's I like that too. You guys are for that. You didn't go destroy some piece of property to get that bit of gold and have that fun.
We had more fun
Definitely not about
than we got gold. That's for sure.
And that's the object of it. That's the object of it. And I turned down a couple of shows where I would have to do something that I didn't want to feel good about.
Always say the gold's a plus.
Gold's a plus. It is. It's a nice plus.
It's the time you have with the people you're out there with. That's the best gold. And the gold's just a plus.
Yeah. And that's why I love doing, I'd rather do my day trip where I take people out there than anything, because we really get to know each other, where we're struggling over limbs and through creeks and going through the brush and bushwhacking and getting out there. You really get to know who you're with, and it makes it for some enjoyable times. I've had some of my best times, and oh, by the way, if you really want to, it's really neat is that stream has a really beautiful king salmon run in it, and it's getting better every year. And,
man,
I've got pictures of boar of fish that just been killed, 60-pound kings or something laying on the bank with the head pulled off and still bleeding. The bears eat the head and the skin and the guts, and we had a big run. And so if you want, I've actually had salmon swim through our sluice box. It's just chock full of it. Sometimes you sit there and you wonder why you're even digging when you're looking at all the fish and the merganser ducks and eagles flying over. And sometimes you sit there and you say, wow. And you're watching these fish spawning, and you got 20, 30 fish in front of you weighing anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds. And then you got next year we'll have even numbered years. We have pink salmon only come on the even-numbered year, so we'll have 1 million of them in there. And the best time to see that, if you want to see that and prospect in the creek with the fish, end of June, first week of July through August, September, middle of September. We still had a lot of dead fish coming first week of September, but there's still some live ones in there. But if you want to have that joy of seeing salmon in the stream and you're playing there amongst them, that's the time to come. And,
it'd be really neat to see.
It's really neat.
I saw the videos of the salmon that when you were having those people out there, and that was just I'm looking at those salmon going, oh man.
Yeah. And
you'll see what a fun thing.
Yeah, you'll see trout going with it, and you're out there, and you're away from civilization, and here's this stream, and that's the good thing about the bears out there. It's called Bear Central. That's where all the bears hang out. But the good thing about it is they're out there because they don't like people, and they have fish. They have oodles of fish to eat, and they don't have to deal with people, and that's where bears prefer. So when we do see bears, they try to get out of our way, and I have a way of doing it that makes it pretty safe. But we did get
you sweet talk them.
We did have a boar running across in the creek, and then Mama was with her cubs back there. Couldn't see her, but I'm sure it was her, snapping her jaws and snapping her teeth at us, which is. I'm not so sure if it was us or the boar that she was snapping them at. I think it was the boar, because the boar was probably wanting to go eat those cubs. So, because they're brand new cubs, she got rid of her cubs last year and had new ones this year. And I'm sure the boar wanted to eat them so he could mate again. Because she'll have them cubs for 3 years, and if he can eat them, and she's ready to mate again this season. And I'm sure she was fending off her cubs and was barking at her, but it was eerie sound hearing that.
Sorry, buddy, I got a headache for the next 3 years.
Yeah, I'm that bad.
No.
But yeah, that's you never know what we're going to come across up there, and we've come across moose and bears, and some of it's pretty exciting. And seeing some of the rubs and all the dead fish laying out on the bank, just been eaten and all that. And that bear's doing it because they can't swim up on shore.
Right.
And they're too big for eagles.
Do you have a large eagle population there too?
We have a very large eagle population. I had a eagle nest that was on my route there that fell down last winter. So I haven't seen where they built it again, but I still see the eagles. We didn't get to see the babies make their first flight this year, which I miss. But on the raft going there, you'll see just tons of eagles, lots of nests, and I did get to see something last year that probably 1 in a million. We were rafting to my place, and here comes a seagull. I call them pearl white eagles, but they're seagulls, and he was flying. Dive bombing right over us, and here comes this eagle right behind it, and it got right past us about 100 yards, and that eagle, that seagull made up like this, and that eagle, boom, grabbed it right in midair. It was the most beautiful thing I ever saw, and they flopped down together, and of course they're floating the same speed as we are, and they're floated down, and that eagle drowned that seagull, and then we were able to. We were far enough away that it had time to get it on the bank, and we come by, and we could see it right there on the bank. Now that was a sight to see.
Oh, I'll bet.
I doubt if it'll happen 1 in a million times, especially if it dive bombs right over you.
Right.
Oh, right.
So my adventure. I always say, when I ask people when they come in there, I said, what do you expect? And they said they don't know. And I said, that makes all of us. I have no idea what's going to happen either. We're just going to go out there and see what we can get into.
Well,
we've been lucky here. They've been up here in Ohio, Toledo, in my area. They've been helping the bald eagles with nesting and stuff, and now every once in a while you'll see them around here too, which is great, because that means we're starting to bring them back. They're starting to come back to where they belong.
Where I lived in Skagit Valley, we had a eagle sanctuary upriver from us. Yeah. I miss seeing them as much as I used to.
So you're seeing them in Ohio then, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Finally.
I remember growing up, never seeing them. I remember when I was young, we're both about the same age. When I was, about 5, 6 years old, I remember seeing eagles every once in a while. Then they disappeared for the longest time. And here within, I want to say the last 10 years, I've been seeing more and more as I travel around. Right. I even saw a couple flying around downtown Toledo. So,
oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
so they're not endangered anymore, that's for sure.
No, no.
And people are still respecting it and not killing it like they're not supposed to. So that's good. Plus, we're not, the biggest problem I guess they had was the DDT we were using was killing the hatchlings. It was making the nest or the eggs shells too soft and they wouldn't survive. So we had a long time without eagles being born.
For the Texas people, that was what happened to the whooping crane, is the DDT and all.
Right.
Yeah. I haven't checked into the whooping crane if it's still thriving there in the Aransas Refuge down there in South Texas. I know that's it's the winter camping. It's their winter grounds down there in the Aransas Wildlife Refuge down in Oswell, Texas. Any of my Texas friends come on there, let me know what's happening to that. I know I used to hunt down there all the time, and they quit using DDT, and then I quit. It got to where it was so infested with mosquitoes, it was horrible to go hunting down there anymore. So, you go out and you step out of your van with a white shirt and you turn black. You could hit your buddy over the back with your hat and kill 1 million mosquitoes. I actually walked around with a can of Raid just to get through there.
Just to get through.
So, but they had I think 20 or 30 left in the world, something like that.
Wow.
And they nest somewhere in the summer up in Canada or something. I forget where. Somewhere up north. It's been 21 years since I've been in Texas, so I've been in Alaska 21 years now. So I lost touch of what some of that is, and my memory, it's probably there, but I can't remember it. But any Texas viewers, if you know something about that, let me. Well, I'm wondering, because that's right where that hurricane went through. Is same thing, same place Carla went. It made landfall and bounced back off. Carla, back when I was a young boy, went right over our house and took part of our roof off. I remember that real well. I was like 13, I guess, and this one hit Victoria, Oswell, all that in the same area. So, yeah, I'd be curious to what happened to the Aransas Wildlife Refuge down there, if it's still there, and I'm sure it's still there to protect those whooping cranes. But anyhow, that's I hope that, I know our eagles came back big time. I've heard from almost anybody every part of the country that they see eagles now. It's not as big a deal to see eagles in Alaska as it used to be, because everybody sees them now. So that's good.
Yep. Yes, it is. I'm happy.
Well, John, we've been on for over 3 hours and 15 minutes. It's been a great show. I hate to say this, but I need to get to bed before too long. And
yeah,
I know Dano and we both wake up pretty early.
Yeah, and I got to get to, it's 7:18 here, so the restaurant closes at 8. So if I'm going to eat dinner, I better.
You got to go eat, huh?
Yeah, and I know they had some. The cook made some leeked potato soup, and I can't wait to go eat some.
Okay, well before you go, John Wolf, or our buddy John Shaw, says, 431 cranes this year.
Ooh. Oh, that is fabulous because you could count them on your hands and toes, fingers and toes back then.
There you go.
Excellent. Thank you, John.
Oh, thank you for that information. Man, that just makes my heart beat.
Well,
flutter.
Stick around a little bit after I get offline, John, if you would. Let me get this said and done. Thank you, everybody, all my YouTubers and friends out there for joining ToledoJess, Dano, or Rignad Man, and I with our guest, Prospector John from Discovery Channel's Devil's Canyon. Thank you very much, John. The time has flown by. I really don't want to cut it short, but I am sure my better half is saying, when is he going to quit? I know this is important, so I'm not going to go down. Yeah. So,
well, if she divorces you, come join me.
There you go. There you go. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, there's the offer, buddy. Take it.
Okay. Hey, it's a 2-day and 19-hour drive.
Jesse. All right, everybody. That's an excellent note. Thank you for joining us tonight here at Tuesday Night Live, or Tuesday Night Hangout Live with us here. Hope to see you next week. Don't miss the Wednesday show at Prospectors Radio. And may you always have a flash in your pan.
You know what he always says.
That I do. Maybe one day, too, we'll meet you on the river. Thank you all very much. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for honoring me like this.
You're welcome.
Our pleasure.
It was a good time.
I'm honored.